is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Fox Sports.
Legendary Bradenton Manatee coach Joe Canaan brings his Hurricanes to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando for their 7th state final appearance. They have won 4 championships. Tonight in this 7A title game, they will be opposed by First Coast out of Jacksonville, led by Marty Lee. First Coast in their first state title appearance coming up next. Florida Finals, we have an FHSAA Class 7A championship game with the reclassification. New 7A and 8A title games this year. It's Manatee from Bradenton taking on First Coast from Jacksonville. The Hurricanes and Buccaneers have not lost a game against Florida opponents this year. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Todd Callis alongside Brady Ackerman. We will hear as well from Laura McKeeman and Jessica Blaylock throughout the course of tonight's game. And when you look at this matchup, Brady, you have one school with a bit of a history in coming to championship games and the other not so much.
Yeah, Jacksonville First Coast represents the Gateway Conference. Actually played in that conference in high school. 17 schools, all of them rooting for them tonight. First Coast to bring home a championship back to the city of Jacksonville. For Manatee, they've been here before. They have a legendary coach, and they are a deep, deep team that has been battle-tested versus a tough schedule. One
of the cool things about Manatee is they keep their coaches around for a while, so long that one of his assistants now has a son who's a quarterback of this team playing for a state title.
You know, Cord Sandberg is an excellent player. I mean, this guy is 25-3 as a starter, just a junior. There's his numbers on the season. He's also a 3.9 GPA guy and has been terrific in the playoffs. 0 interceptions, 0 turnovers. He kind of gets the offense going for Manatee.
Statewide, everybody has heard about Joe Canaan, and also Marty Lee is starting to get some attention up in Jacksonville. And this year, he's got a trio of receivers that have done a great job, and they are led by number 1, Chris Black.
Chris Black is probably the most exciting receiver we'll see all weekend long. This kid's already committed to Alabama. He's a mid-year guy, so he's not going to be in high school very much longer. He's heading over to Tuscaloosa. 902 yards, 55 receptions. A 3-year starter for First Coast. They've got a lot of weapons, but he's the guy you got to focus if you're going to shut down the Buccaneers tonight.
This has been a year of firsts for First Coast. They won their first regional final and their first state semifinal. Now looking for their first state crown against Bradenton Manatee. We'll have all the action of the Class 7A championship game and hear from Laura and Jessica coming up next.
But I do know this right here, that we Buccaneers have been on that big black ship for a long time. We've gone into a lot of different ports, okay? And the last 4 times we've been at home, somebody's come to try to take our treasure from us. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And this time, we're going for that final pot of gold. And in that pot of gold is a bunch of state championship rings. But we got to go through a hurricane to get there. We got to go through a hurricane. We're going to go right through the eye of that hurricane. You can believe that. We ain't going around it. We're going right through it. And we're going to have belief. We're going to play hard. Now, I want to tell you this right here. Everybody in here has somebody that they're going to play for tonight. Besides the Gateway and besides our team, just say a little prayer. Remember how I always tell you, what I tell you to do? Tell your mom and dad that you love them. Because you never know when there's no tomorrow. And I want to tell you that I love you no matter what. Get pumped! Get pumped! Get pumped! Get pumped!
Marty Lee and JoJo Jackson getting the Buccaneers from First Coast ready for this one. Let's check in on the sidelines of First Coast with our own Jessica Blaylock.
Well, thank you, Todd. As you heard Coach Lee telling his Buccaneers, you have got to get through the eye of the hurricane, and that's perfect because the Manatee's mascot is the hurricane. I asked Coach Lee, how do you plan on doing that? And he said it comes down to 2 things. Number 1, my quarterback, DeAndre Johnson, is going to be my navigator, and then number 2, my defense is what is going to push us through. Now for more on Manatee, let's check in on the other sideline with Laura McKeeman.
Thanks, Jessica. Coach Joe Canaan is a man of few words, and he only gives credit where it's due. But he's giving a lot of credit to his D-line this year. He tells me they will be key in this game. He wants to see them pressure First Coast freshman quarterback Chris Black on film, and he wants to do everything he can to stop the Buccaneers from throwing the ball. Now let's go back up to Todd and Brady for all the action in this game.
Thank you, Laura. Brady, what are your keys tonight?
Well, you see Manatee, I think Sandberg's got to shine on the ground and through the air, and also pressure the quarterback. You heard Laura talk about that. They've got an outstanding defensive front at Manatee. Got to get after the freshman quarterback. I think for First Coast, handle the height. No self-inflicted wounds early on, turnovers and penalties, and then continue to spread the wealth in the passing game. You want to get the ball to Chris Black, but don't forget about Justin Osborne and Brandon Brooks.
Those are our axe keys to tonight's game. First Coast won the coin toss. They deferred to the second half, so they will kick off to Manatee. Bradenton Manatee coming in with a record of 12-2. Their 2 losses were to out-of-state opponents, including the #1 ranked team in the country. And First Coast coming in with a record of 13-0. The lefty kicker, Jared Scott, gets us underway in the 7-8 state title game. Back deep for Manatee. Jawan Pollock, and Pollock up the left side. He's beyond the 25, but he is set down hard at the 27-yard line. Big hit by First Coast Reggie Northrup. You'll hear a lot about him tonight. There is a flag down right at the 16-yard line after a 20-yard return by Pollock.
Well, that's how you start the football game right there. That's a championship level. When you're a first-year program getting in here, you got to come hit somebody and get their respect. And First Coast with a big hit. Northup, a guy we're going to talk about a lot tonight. An unbelievable player. Had a big play a week ago against Lakeland.
Leads the team in tackles. Here's our first call from William Myrick. He is the referee tonight.
We have a dead ball, personal foul, late hit.
Late hit called on First Coast. Our officiating crew from Loxahatchee, William Myrick, the referee, the umpire Corey Gotzigan, line judge Gregory Kirkwood, or Jim Whittington, Lorani Mason, the side judge, Vincent Holmes, the field judge, Arthur Rubinson, the back judge, and Corey Brown runs the clock. Cord Sandberg, former ball boy at Bradenton Manatee, now the starting quarterback, as his father has been an assistant for Joe Canan since 1986.
He has some Tebow mannerisms. When you talk to Coach Marty Lee, he said, you know, he's left-handed. He can run. They'll run that quarterback sweep with him. Throws it well enough to move the ball through the air. It's one of those guys that I like to say is a move the chains guy. All the scouts are going to stand here and say, I got to have that guy, but he moves the chains and he wins.
First play from scrimmage, a little shuttle pass up the middle, and it picks up 6, maybe 7 yards. And that is a pass to Leon Allen, who played a little bit of halfback, a little bit of fullback, a little bit of wide receiver this year for Joe Canan.
And Leon Allen is a very productive running back, headed to Western Kentucky. Can do it on the ground mostly, but will be a benefactor of that shovel pass, and that is a difficult play to defend. It really is, because you got the option to shovel or option off the end.
Second down and short. Ball near midfield after that critical 15-yard penalty. And again, it's Leon Allen, this time on the handoff up the middle. Let's take a look at our Toyota starting lineups. First of all, for Bradenton Manatee, the offensive line has 3 seniors, Garrett Waiters, Jacob Spurko, and Sean Wilkes, all seniors. Your backs and your receivers, Ryan Taylor is the leading receiver. Leon Allen and Anthony Lauro, a great 1-2 punch in the backfield for Manatee. That was a first down. Allen has a reception and a carry, and now they shuttle it again to Leon Allen right up the middle, and Allen has another nice gain on first down of 7 yards.
The one thing about this First Coast defense, as we take a look at it, Todd, the linebackers are very good, but that shovel play's probably got them off kilter early on.
Take a look at that defensive line, brought to you by Southeast Toyota. Malachi Evans on one end. Savon Lowry leads the team in sacks. And also the linebackers, very good core. Daniel McMillan, one of the best juniors in the state. JoJo Jackson and also Reggie Northup, who also made that big play on the special teams. You saw the secondary there. Shaq Beverly, Tyrell Lyons, Ian Caldwell, and Adrian McClendon, a very good player at corner. That was a second down and short, a gain of 2. It may be just shy. It's going to be third down and less than a yard for Manatee.
Reggie Northup, a week ago in that big win over Lakeland, he returned a fumble for a touchdown to kind of seal it 24-14. So First Coast, which comes in with the resume of a great offensive team, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch, has had some big plays on defense.
Yeah, McMillan and Northrop have made huge plays defensively throughout this playoff stretch. It is Sandberg who slips. Looks like he had the first down. Is the ball out? No, it's a short of the first down, but not a fumble. He was down, but it looked like Cord Sandberg, Brady, had the first down, but his feet came out from under him.
Yeah, playing on that new turf that's been there for 2 years, and watch him right here. He's going to get outside. They love to run this. They load with their fullback, and he turns it up right there. It's a first down, but he can't keep his feet on this turf. Again, watch. Leon Allen's going to lead block on the play side linebacker that shows, and we're going to see that play quite a few times tonight.
Nick Tankersley has kicked a 53-yarder this year. This would be a 51-yard attempt, but instead on 4th and short, Joe Canaan going for it. Sandberg rolls right. He'll have the first down. He's out of bounds just outside the 25-yard line as the Manatee Hurricanes are 1st and 10 on a 4th down run.
And we're going to see this a lot tonight. Again, a move the chains type guy. This is just a quarterback sweep. All by himself, and he gets everybody out on the edge. Good seal block by the right side of the offensive line, Sean Wilkes. And really, fullback Leon Allen really didn't have to block anybody to get that first down.
Buccaneers allowed 16.5 points a game this year defensively. Manatee averaging over 36 points a game on the offensive side. But lately it's been their defense who has been big in the playoff series. Here's a pitch, and this is going to be Anthony Lauro. Lauro goes all the way to the 12-yard line, another first down. Pick up on that carry of 15 yards.
Well, there he gets out on the perimeter and uses that speed. Lauro's a good change-up guy, a junior who's probably going to get a lot of looks at the next level over the next year or so. Toss, sweep. Allen, again, just gets a hand on the outside linebacker, but good job of getting up the field. They're formatting him perfectly here early on. First Coast has got to get guys into their gaps and their responsibilities.
Strong first drive for the Hurricanes. Out of the shotgun, Sandberg will take the carry. Blockers in front, including Leon Allen. Good block by Allen. Sandberg leaps into the end zone, touchdown. Manatee on the board first as Cord Sandberg takes it in from 12 yards out.
Well, it was too easy for Manatee, and they just manned up, ran the football down their throat, threw a little wrinkle in there or two with the shovel, and Cord Sandberg, that's what we talked about at the top. Excellent baseball player, excellent student, and a winner on the football field. And we know what that means in the last couple of years when we talk about winners.
They call him the Golden Boy at Bradenton Manatee as he carries his team to the first score of the night. The extra point by Tankersley is good, and we'll take another look on our way out. It took 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and the Hurricanes are out on top in the 7A title game. The 2011 FHSAA football finals are brought to you by Checkers, Feast On, and by Toyota, moving forward. Impressive drive by Bradenton Manatee to start this championship game. Just took them 8 plays to go 58 yards. Cord Sandberg, the former ball boy, takes the ball into the end zone for a touchdown, and the Hurricanes have a 7-0 lead. There you see the scoring drive. First 3 minutes and 45 seconds of this first quarter. First Coast will get a chance at the football for the first time tonight as they will have 3 deep for the kickoff. Chris Black, Justin Osborne, and Brandon Brooks. That drive was kept alive by a 4th down conversion by Sandberg running the ball as well. So he was instrumental in that first touchdown drive. The kick for the Hurricanes is Nick Tankersley. And he gets a high kick, will not reach the end zone though. It is returnable. This is Chris Black. Black on the left side looking for some running room, and 2 or 3 Hurricanes there to stop him at the 24-yard line. Let's take a look at that last touchdown, Brady.
Well, this is a quarterback power. Watch number 51, Spurko, who's going to pull out here on the right side. And then watch the blocking on the point of attack. So the quarterback takes it, and right there, 1 block, 2 block, and he gets into the end zone. What they do is they'll snap it directly to the quarterback, and the fullback, Leon Allen, will become the lead blocker. His play side guard, Jacob Spurko, pulls out in front of him. Great blocking in space, terrific execution, but you're going to see that play again tonight because Manatee loves to run that play with Cord Sandberg.
Spurko, a nice block on JoJo Jackson. And then Allen also got Ian Caldwell there to spring his quarterback. First play from scrimmage is a handoff and not going anywhere in the middle of that Hurricanes defensive line. A freshman quarterback, DeAndre Johnson, leading the way in this 7A championship game for First Coast. You see his numbers on the year. This is not just a freshman that hands off the football.
No, and this is the number that is amazing right there. For a freshman quarterback to throw 5 interceptions, 3 in one game, that they won 36-7. That is just amazing.
Yeah, that was an impressive number for any quarterback, but a quarterback in his freshman year, 1 every 53 pass attempts, he's throwing a pick, which is astounding as he's back to throw for the first time. He's got trip receivers right, throws down the middle, and that is caught near midfield. They love to put the ball in the air, especially to Chris Black.
Well, I'm going to love watching this offense right here. Chris Black on a skinny post route. The key, though, was the protection. Plenty of time, and boy, does the ball come off this kid's hands beautifully. Steps up in the pocket. There it is, right down the middle of the field. They're in zero coverage. He's working the outside. Gets a little post route, and a separation between him and Jalen Holmes, and Chris Black comes up with a big catch.
That was good for 23 yards and a Buccaneer first down in their first state title game. Back to throw again, this time in trouble, and he is going to go down, or he stays up for a while, does the freshman, but now he is swarmed under good pressure there by the Manatee defensive line. 3-yard loss on the play. Marquise Dawson, who played in the title game in 09 against Plant, was in there on the stop.
And they've got a good defensive line. Lost 3 Division I prospects last year, and I think this one might be better. Dawsey coming off the end has 12 sacks. And from the middle, you see Callaway in there. He leads the team with 23 tackles for loss. So those guys are used to being in the backfield, and they got to block those guys tonight. First Coast does, if they're going to have a chance to throw the football.
Dawsey and Blake Keller, the bookend defensive ends, both with a dozen sacks this year. Quick hitter to Chris Black, and he goes nowhere. Good defensive play there by Clint Heaven and also Herschel Kaywood for a loss of 2. Here's your look at the First Coast Buccaneers starting lineup, brought to you by Southeast Toyota. Your offensive line is led by Nathan Waters, Aaron Farber, Marquis Nixon, and Donzel Blackman, along with Sheldon Gordon. Your backs and receivers, Darrell King, the running back. We've talked about the receiving trio. Chris Black, Justin Osborne, and Brandon Brooks. Osborne and Brooks back from season-ending injuries in their junior year. All 3 of those guys are seniors. All 3 of those guys are already heading to play Saturday football at the next level. The Manatee Hurricanes line up this way defensively as we look at their defense, brought to you by Southeast Toyota. The front 4, we've already talked about Dawsey and Blake Keller. Those guys are your bookends. Derek Callaway, very solid in the middle, along with DeMarcus Christmas. What a name it is this time of year. The linebacking core of Darius White and Herschel Kaywood for Manatee, and also your secondary, Willie Smith and Clint Heaven. The safeties are a force back there in the defensive backfield. 4 INTs for Willie Smith. Clint Heaven, who started here and had 10 tackles against Plant in the 2009 title game, 3rd on the team in tackles from the secondary position.
Yeah, I think one of the games within the game tonight is Manatee's defensive pass rush, which is so talented and so good and physical, versus that First Coast offensive line. I think, you always talk about games are won and lost in the line of scrimmage, but that game may dictate whether or not First Coast can pull off a state championship tonight.
Couple of losses on the last 2 plays, sets up a 3rd and 15, and Johnson is in trouble, and he's going down. Sacked by Blake Keller, so now he and Dawsey have a sack tonight, and they now have 13 each on the season.
I've been told that Blake Keller's the heart and soul of this defense. Just a junior, not as highly regarded as the other 3 at this point in time. Flat out makes plays. Had a terrific game a week ago against Palm Beach Gardens. Dwyer going up against their Division I prospect tackle. And first chance he gets to rush the quarterback, he gets after and gets a sack.
Chris Cook gets a nice punt away, fielded at the 25. Fair catch called for and made by Ryan Taylor. A 42-yard punt, no return, and Bradenton Manatee will take over offensively with a 7-0 lead. So on the first series for First Coast, we see DeAndre Johnson getting a lot of heat from the Manatee Hurricanes defense. Let's check in with our own Laura McKeeman.
Thanks, Todd. And as you mentioned, Court Sandberg was a ball boy for the Manatee High School football team growing up, because Coach Canan has coached with Court Sandberg's dad since 1986. Now, Canan has great things to say about Sandberg. He says he has such a nice touch on the ball. He's obviously a dual threat, uses his legs well, and he actually uses his legs sometimes to get to practice. He only lives 4 blocks from the stadium. Takes him 26 seconds to get there, guys.
It's a fast kid right there, Cord Sandberg, 7A Player of the Year. His little shuttle pass was good for 5 yards to Leon Allen. 25-3 record for Sandberg as a starting quarterback for Bradenton Manatee. He was in uniform here in 2009 in that championship game against Plant, but did not play in that game. This time he keeps it. Thought about a throw at the last second, but he was already over the line of scrimmage, and he was covered up there by Reggie Northrup, who also had help on the play. Also coming in on the hit was Shaq Beverly.
Yeah, zone read. They've run the shovel. They've done quite a few things. The quarterback sweep at him already. So the First Coast linebackers, which come in highly touted, and rightfully so, have to mind their P's and Q's. I know that sounds like you've had a whole week of practice, but it's hard to simulate this speed, and certainly Sandberg does an excellent job of making plays and good decisions with the football.
Kind of strength on strength here with speed on both sides, and there's a complete pass, and trying to wiggle out of a tackle and not able to do so. Does he have enough for the first down? I believe so. Jawan Pollock ends up with a catch. He was trying to wiggle out of a tackle and ended up maybe losing a half yard and trying to get free, but the ball is spotted right at the 35-yard line for a first.
Yeah, just a little half roll, just trying to get to the first down marker and get down for the first down.
Just enough for a first down for Bradenton Manatee. The Hurricanes leading 7-0. Cord Sandberg, the junior quarterback, with a touchdown run to start things off in this 7A title game. First Coast coming in 13-0 on the season. Sandberg will roll left with the option. He'll keep it himself, and he is flipped at the 40-yard line, falls forward to the 39. Gain of 6.
He's going to run it a lot. You know, that's why we talked about him at the top. Watch it right here from the end zone. Look, watch the linebackers First Coast. Allen's going to come out and pick off Northrup, gets him an extra 4 or 5 yards, and number 6 is going to have to make the play. The safety, Ian Caldwell. See him right there? But both linebackers, including Northrup, got picked up in the blocking, and you got to get through that. They've got to make the plays if First Coast is going to stop that rushing attack.
We have seen some good blocks already by Leon Allen. One on the touchdown run and there on the first down run of 6 yards. Sandberg, who is the leading rusher this year in terms of attempts for Bradenton Manatee, carried the ball 157 times for 736 yards. He and Leon Allen had about the same amount of yards this year. Picks up 3 on that carry. It's third down and short.
Watch Northrup right here. ISO him. He's watching the quarterback all the way, and he goes for the big lick because you're trying to send a message. But you got to wrap up. You got to bring your arms with you. He's a terrific player, played it excellently, but wrap up. Wrap up to get double pluses when you get graded up right there because you could have kept him 3 yards short.
3rd and a yard, probably less than a yard, and Sandberg has it easily as he's across the 46.
That's what I was talking about at the beginning, handle the hype. Look, first-year coach has to deal with how do I want to run my itinerary, how excited do I want my team to be or loose, you know, those kind of things. Every coach goes through it. But as players, you got to avoid, you know, silly penalties, turnovers, and you got to stay with your fundamentals. You got to tackle, you got to wrap up. Just do the little things until the game slows down and you get back to playing a football game like you do every Friday night.
We'll check in with Jessica Blaylock with more on that after this play. A pitch to Loro. He turns the corner. He's tripped up shy of the first down, but a nice gain on that first down carry by Anthony Loro. What do you have for us, Jess?
Well, guys, as you mentioned, because it is Coach Lee's first ever state title appearance, one of the things that he did to prepare for this game was to get advice from those coaches who have won state titles. He spoke with Verlin Dormany from Trinity and Corky Rogers, who we know just won his 10th title with Bulls last weekend. And one of the things that really stuck with him was to just enjoy every moment because, you know, it's all over so quickly, and that's exactly what he has tried to do.
Marty Lee has called it a dream season. He has one more game left to go for that season as a pass is overthrown, kind of in between 2 receivers there. Leon Allen and Jawan Pollock were both deep, and it kind of fell in between the 2 targets.
Good coverage by JoJo Jackson, the linebacker. He gets singled up on 7. See, you got Allen's at tight end, so he gets a chuck and then stays with him. So it's not a real big window, just running 2 verticals down the field, and I think Manatee got the coverage they wanted. They just couldn't execute the play.
First incompletion of the night from Cord Sandberg, the lefty quarterback, who is now back in the shotgun on this 3rd down and about 1.5 yards. They need to get just beyond the 44-yard line for a first. Sandberg with a flag down will not have a chance to run that play.
We have a dead ball. False start on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
3rd and 1.5 becomes 3rd and 6.5 for Joe Canaan. 27th year with the Manatee Hurricanes. Last 7 consecutively. Took 4 years away from the school after his first 20 years coaching, including 4 state crowns and 2 runners-up. Here you see his record. Unbelievable career for Canaan and all his assistant coaches who have played for him at some point or another. Here's a pass on 3rd and 6, and it is caught first down on the far sideline right in front of his teammates. That's Jawan Pollock, who had 33 catches coming into tonight's play.
Beautiful throw. I mean, right on time, on the money to the first down chains, and they convert a 3rd down. And Manatee is dialed in right now. They know exactly what they're doing. They look comfortable. Look at him, step and throw. On time. Receiver's going to get to the first down marker and turn around. He throws it where the defender can't get to it, leads his receiver away from the defender, out of bounds for the first down.
Handoff to Lauro in motion. Lauro in trouble, and he is going to get wrapped up. About no gain. He did get back to the original line of scrimmage, but nice play by Daniel McMillan.
McMillan, the junior, 21 tackles behind the line of scrimmage this year, and that's 22. And that's the kind of play they need on the quarterback sweeps and the hand sweeps right there. They've got to get up the field, force the runners back inside, and make the play in space.
He's got a lot of FBS schools looking at him, just a junior. He is going to be back for a lot more next year with First Coast. That'll be the final play of quarter number 1. Lauro limping a little bit, favoring that left leg just a hair. We are through a quarter here, the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, and the team from Bradenton, the Manatee Hurricanes, on a 12-yard touchdown run by Cord Sandberg, leads at 7-0 against First Coast. Well, the second quarter action right around the corner. This week on Fox, NFL Sunday, the NFC North champion Green Bay Packers look to stay undefeated as they head to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, or the Redskins battle the NFC East leading Giants, or the Lions head to Oakland to take on the Raiders, with both teams desperate for a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Coverage will begin this week with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Check your local listings for the games and start time in your area. On one side, it's a sea of blue from Jacksonville. On the other side, a sea of red from Bradenton. And so far, it's the sea of red that has had more opportunities to cheer as the Hurricane fans lead at 7-0. And the team from First Coast carrying a 13-0 record, trying to stop things here on 2nd down and 10. Only 1 first down for the Buccaneers in the first quarter to Manatee 7. And there's a good defensive play for the First Coast Buccaneers. Right up the middle, it is Jamarcus Richardson making the stop.
And McMillan was there too. He's starting to show up in the backfield, but that's what you need from your defensive line. Jamarcus Richardson in there. You've got to get some penetration against this rushing attack, and there he is right there, McMillan, to help clean it up. But that's the first time on one of these run plays we've seen a defensive lineman in the backfield tonight.
6'1", 240-pound junior. Plays behind the big man, Jawan Fannin, who goes 3.55 and is out of the game right now. It is 3rd down and 12. To throw, Sandberg wide open, Lauro over the middle, touchdown Hurricanes. Wide open for the score, and Bradenton Manatee, a 44-yard touchdown connection from Sandberg to Lauro.
Shaq Beverly, I believe, had him in man coverage and slipped, just kind of tripped and gave up on the play. Easy throw and catch for Manatee, and Lauro makes him pay with a 44-yard touchdown.
That was too easy right there to give the Hurricanes a 2-touchdown lead. Nick Tankersley in for the extra point. Not far from a block by Daniel McMillan, but it is up and good. It is now 14-0.
Manatee in a trips formation right here. One guy goes to the wheel, the other two, and there you see it. He falls down. You know, and I checked that. That was JoJo Jackson, I believe, that fell down, number 2. But if you'll watch it the first time, he just does a good job of running away from him. You got to keep your feet. And JoJo Jackson falls down, and they make him pay in zero coverage right there, which was interesting, considering, you know, the down and distance situation that they would go with zero and try to bring some heat. But that's what a good quarterback does. When he sees the coverage and he understands what's going on in the offense, he can make you pay. And he knew once he had enough protection, he was be able to get something down the field.
One of the more unique looks in terms of hairstyles that we've seen this weekend. That is Anthony Lauro with a 44-yard touchdown reception. He had 5 touchdown receptions on the year to go along with 7 on the ground. Deep kick by Tankersley, and no chance to return for First Coast. A 12-play, 75-yard drive by Bradenton Manatee, capped off with that 44-yard touchdown pass from Sandberg, who now has a touchdown on the ground and one in the air. Anthony Lauro is an outstanding junior running back.
First Coast, they know how to score points. You know, it's 19 games in a row they've scored more than 21 points, so they're comfortable in a track meet one way or the other. The key is protecting your quarterback. You're going to line up and throw. The problem with that is if they know you're going to throw, it's going to be that much tougher. They've got to move him around in the pocket a little bit and keep him honest with a little bit of the run. There's what you're talking about, a run up the middle, but staying at home, Blake Keller. You mentioned this guy earlier, the junior defensive end, with another big play. All right, just a great high school football player. I mean, he just shows up, wins his battles, and, you know, it was interesting talking about this defensive line, and his big gain for him will be once he takes this great junior year he just had, he's got to go get in that Manatee weight room and make himself a big-time prospect, because there's going to be a lot of colleges that are going to come in and look at the other 3 guys. They're already looking at him, but they're going to see him making a lot of plays. So he could help himself out. He's a terrific player. 2nd down and 10 on the no gain on first down. A quick pass. It is complete. That's a first down for First Coast. Let's check in with Laura McKeeman with more on the Manatee D-line.
Well, guys, you want to see a mean streak in your D-lineman, and I think this Manatee D-line has it. Derek Calloway and DeMarcus Christmas pulling the rest of the D-line in before this drive and saying, hey, let's get to their quarterback. He's young. He's just a baby. We can really affect him. They were saying he wants to step up in the pocket. Don't let him. Guys, it's getting pretty nasty down here.
Yeah, and that's, thanks, Laura. That's a young defensive line as well. 3 juniors and a sophomore, DeMarcus Christmas, on that front line. Here is Johnson. DeAndre looking deep for Brooks, and Brandon goes up and gets it. A great catch, and the Buccaneers are at the 30-yard line of Manatee.
Oh, wow. The senior coming up with a big catch. All 3 wide receivers at First Coast have double-digit touchdowns. So I know we highlighted Chris Black at the top. He's going to the #2 team in the country. But these guys know how to catch the football, and this is a good throw. Gets it out there, and his receiver knows what to do. Go up and get it.
13 touchdowns this year for Brooks. That leads the team. That was a fine catch over Jalen Holmes, who had pretty good coverage.
Yes, he did. That was just one guy beating the other guy, making a play.
39-yard catch for Brooks. And now movement on the line. Manatee is pointing, but it looked like there was just a man in motion and that they jumped. Manatee's Derek Calloway jumped, and I think he reacted to the man in motion.
We have a dead ball. Encroachment, defense. That's the 5-yard penalty. Repeat the first down.
That was the case, so it's on the defense of the Hurricanes, setting up a first down and 5. We talked about first-year teams here in the state finals. Sometimes takes them a little while to get rolling. Right now, First Coast is down 14-0, but they are moving the football now at the 25-yard line with a 1st and 5. They had just 1 first down coming into this drive, and they pitch it to the right side, looking for running room, and getting stacked up is Lonzo Square. Square with 461 yards on the season and led the team with 6 touchdowns on the ground.
Well, I like the idea that, you know, hey, let's mix in a little run to keep them honest. Let's see, they get a wide pitch. They got good blocks on the perimeter, but they're in blocks on the line of scrimmage where he cuts it back into. Those guys are getting what we like to say blown up. You've got to get a push on your block. I believe that's number 31 that's out there blocking, Reginald Franklin. Those guys got to get, if a guy's going to come upfield, they got to wash him out of there, give the running back a room a lane to run.
Nice play by Herschel Kaywood. He started here in the championship game 2 years ago against Plant. Johnson rolling out of trouble, fires open over the middle and caught for a first down. And that is Justin Osborne with his first catch. Another senior wide receiver who, as Brady mentioned, has double digits in touchdowns this year.
Boy, and he had to. Derek Callaway had the guard, the left guard. Watch the left side of your screen. Number 70, Aaron Faber's got all he wants with Callaway coming inside in the backfield. But that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes Johnson's going to have to scramble to throw, or they're going to have to move him outside of the pocket to design plays. You can't just leave him stationary against this defensive line, at least not early till you establish the line of scrimmage.
Buccaneers inside the red zone for the first time tonight. Johnson with some time to throw, lobs it for Brooks. It's a jump ball and it's picked off. Intercepted by Bradenton Manatee's Jalen Holmes. Great position and a great pick. The turnover for the Hurricanes.
Well, he made his mind up early that he was going to Brooks. But watch right here, and we'll show you the freeze. Stop it. Look at this guy running wide open to the middle of the field. But he decided pre-snap read, he's going to throw it out here to Brooks, who knows how to get it out, go out and make plays, but he doesn't get enough air under it. If you put it up about another foot, the worst thing that happens is an incompletion. But that was a nice series right there, nice battle. Holmes lost a battle, and he won a battle right there against Brooks.
So the Manatee defense holds on the first time the Buccaneers get the ball inside the 20, and on first down with a 14-0 lead, they hand the ball off, and no running room at all for Leon Allen. A host of Buccaneers stopping him on that first down play. So some positives for DeAndre Johnson, the freshman quarterback, as he moves the team down inside the 20. But that was a throw, as you saw with Brady illustrating, who had a receiver, Justin Osborne, right down the middle, but had his mind made up to go to Brooks.
And I don't have a problem with it. You just got to put enough air under it. You know, give him a chance to be the defender like he did the play before, or a couple plays before.
Rolling right, Sandberg pitches it to Leon Allen, tries to turn the corner and gets taken down out of bounds. Daniel McMillan, one of the strong linebackers on this team, making the play.
You know, one thing you'll learn, you can't put a price on experience. And you look at Sandberg, 25-3 in the starters, been through it, had some success, played the #1 team in the country. And then you look at Johnson, who's done, you can't do any better as a freshman. But this is going to be a learning experience, and he might want to go back and say, hey, if we come back to that play next time, I'm looking left, looking the safety off again and going back to the open receiver. Got to learn from it.
Sandberg, the veteran, even though he's just a junior, he's been around the program since he was a kid, takes the carry for a first down, gain of 6. Very rarely do you see a freshman quarterback starting in a state final like DeAndre Johnson is tonight. Although last time that happened, it was Shelton Willis for South Daytona Warner Christian in the finals of the 1B championship in 2008. They lost to Jupiter Christian in that game 49-14. It is a daunting task for a freshman at any level to take his team this far. It's been an amazing year for DeAndre Johnson and the Buccaneers. 1st and 10 for Cord Sandberg. Looking to throw, fires complete. This is Lauro again, and he's off to Buccaneer territory inside the 40. Anthony Lauro, a big weapon in the receiving game tonight.
Sandberg's putting on a clinic. He's absolutely putting on a clinic out here at quarterback. I really like this kid. Comes down the line of scrimmage. It looks like options, so the linebacker leaves him right here. Look at Northrop, freeze right there. See, Northrop stays out of his zone because he thinks it's option. He's going up here, so what does he do? Let me just throw it up there, right there. 22 also came off his guy, Tyrell Lyons, to play the pitch. So when you look at that, you got the 2 guys going up. Nobody covers the receiver because they think it's a run. He just dumps it.
Lone setback is Leon Allen. He'll take the carry up the middle, gain of a couple, maybe 1. But Sandberg has engineered this offense with precision so far tonight.
Richardson with another nice tackle, but, you know, I can't imagine living 23 seconds from school. Or whatever, 26 seconds from school. I mean, that's just amazing.
4 houses away.
Yeah, you can't be late for school. But maybe that's why he's so quick. School starts at what, 8:15? I don't know what they do in high school now. 9 o'clock? They start late now. I know I see them all at the bus stop when I take my kids to school. Does he leave at 9:14:30? Guy gets all of Regis and Kelly before he goes to school.
Nice commute. That's what happens when your dad's been the assistant coach since '86. Here's a handoff to Leon Allen, fighting his way up the middle. Picks up about 3, maybe 4 yards. It'll be 3rd down and about 5 or 6 for Manatee.
He's a move the chains guy. And there was a guy that came here in 2005, excuse me. I called him a move the chains guy. He was a left-hander. Played for Nice.
Not a bad quarterback so far in the NFL.
No, he's done a good job.
Speaking of Tim Tebow, we'll talk more about Tebow later.
You said it, not me.
Welcome back to the Class 7A state final, where Manatee leads it 14-0 in the second quarter. Now, when it comes to the first coaching staff, they obviously were not pleased with the last drive by Manatee. Some of the assistant coaches really got in the face of the Bucks defense, telling them that last drive was unacceptable. They then added, "We are undefeated. That is not how we play. That is not good enough, and I'm not accepting excuses." So we'll have to see, Todd, if those words light a fire on this drive.
All right, Jessica. Jessica covers a lot of the Gateway Conference. You played in the Gateway Conference. You know what this means to the city of Jacksonville, as does Jessica more than any other. And it's a huge situation for them to try and make a statement. Nobody's won as a public school from that area since 1997.
Yeah, Welton Coffey's the only one to do it. Sandalwood's taken some good teams here and had a chance, but you know, there's a lot of pressure, but there's also a lot of support. They're just playing a very good team. This quarterback, Cord Sandberg, is as good as advertised, folks.
He is going for Ryan Taylor and overshoots his receiver. Really the first pass that wasn't a solid pass in this game by Cord Sandberg. Right
on cue, right when I said the guy, maybe the timeout, the water break worked for him right there, but he's been carving up that First Coast defense. But that's a mini win for First Coast right now. Get a stop, see if you can force a missed field goal. And, you know, the offense is fine. You just got to stick the ball in the end zone.
Nick Tankersley has quite a leg. He's been hot and cold this year. At one point, he had 12 straight field goals. But on the year, he was just 14 of 22, but does have a long of 53. This will be a 49-yarder for the kid who wears the bright yellow shoes, but it's blocked. It's Daniel McMillan with the block, and he recovers at the 34-yard line. McMillan, and now a flag goes down as he picked up and tried to run some more. That was a huge special teams by the junior linebacker who's getting so much attention from FBS schools.
Yeah, Daniel McMillan coming up big. Sometimes special teams is what has to energize your football team, and he gets it done right there. He comes right up the middle. Remember, you got to have a low trajectory here for this long kick. He has plenty of leg watching him in the warm-ups, but just a breakdown in protection up the middle. He came right up the middle and blocked it, and that will give First Coast good field position once we see what the penalty is.
On White.
They called a block in the back on White. I think
he said personal foul, but he gave the block in the back. Regardless, they did something wrong. We know that. Either way, First Coast is right back where they threw the interception. So here you go. This is a huge swing in momentum.
Could have been a 17-0 game if Tankersley connected on the long field goal. Instead, it's 14-0 with the ball in the red zone for the Buccaneers. Last time they got in the red zone on the first play inside the zone, they threw an interception. DeAndre Johnson didn't throw much at Landmark Middle School where they ran the veer, but he's throwing a lot here with an empty backfield. 5 receivers. As he fires, it is intercepted at the 3-yard line. Right back we go to Manatee as Willie Smith with his 5th pick of the season.
Wow, Willie Smith played that terrifically, and Johnson just got lit up. Couldn't quite get enough on it. They were bringing pressure. Manatee's bringing heat right here. Here's a 6-man rush as they bring him up the end of the line of scrimmage, and he gets hit by 55 and 52. Keller getting a shot in on him, and as well as Darius White. And what a terrific ball skills right here, coming underneath the receiver, making the interception. Big time play for Manatee.
They brought 6. They left 5 in single coverage, but they had the receivers covered up nicely. And when Johnson had to get rid of it, Willie Smith came up with the interception. Originally a starting point guard on the varsity as a freshman on the basketball team, but now he has slowly made his way to become a star on the football team, now playing in his junior year under Joe Kinnan.
Well, he couldn't quite get enough on the throw. It wouldn't have been a bad read, again, if he puts air under it, because he's got single coverage, and you like your chances with #1, Chris Black, trying to make a play. But as soon as he tried to throw it on a line, which I don't know if it's because he got hit, number 8, Willie Smith, came underneath it and picked it off. It was a good play.
So 2 chances inside the red zone, and on the 2 plays from line of scrimmage inside the 20, Manatee has come up with an interception. The high school football finals will continue tomorrow on Fox Sports Florida, beginning at 1 o'clock. And this is an unbelievable matchup. Undefeated Armour, undefeated Miami Central battle it out on the gridiron. Tune in to find out who will take home the Class 6A state crown. It is the FHSAA football finals tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports Florida, where Florida sports fans live. And a lot of people feel like this was the matchup of the weekend, although Miramar Plant is going to be quite a matchup in the evening as well. Here's a look at the USA Today Super 25, and you can see Armwood 13-0, Central 13-0. One is ranked 4th in the country, the other is 12th in the country.
And Don Bosco, who's #1 in the country, beat Manatee early in the season, gave them one of their 2 losses.
Sandberg fakes the handoff to Lauro, and he takes it himself near the 10-yard line, gain of 5 by the junior quarterback.
Sandberg has over 2,700 total yards on the season, and you throw that in with 27 touchdowns. Those are dual threat numbers. That's a guy that can beat you with his arm or his legs, which allows you to run a lot of different things. We've seen him under center, we've seen him in the shotgun, 1 back, fake the sweep. Really puts pressure on your defense when a quarterback can do all those things.
The handoff and not going anywhere. There was Daniel McMillan again. 13 is making some big plays for First Coast.
Yeah, he's raised the level of his play. The junior trying to fire everybody up around him, and this would be a huge defensive stand because of the field position. Again, could go back in First Coast favor. Remember, with their offense, they could still get some points. There you see him. He times up the snap, wins the battle at the line of scrimmage with Garrett Waiters right there, the big left guard, and he is a physical linebacker, just a junior.
3rd and a long 6. The Hurricanes need to get the ball almost to the 15-yard line. Single back is Leon Allen, and Manatee with 4 receivers calling a timeout with 3:39 to go in this first half.
This time, First Coast, at least on that play before the snap, was in cover 1. Still man coverage, but you have a safety high in the middle, 1 high safety in the middle to kind of protect against any big plays. The last time they were in 3rd down and they got in that 0 coverage, it cost them a touchdown, in large part because the linebacker fell down, but they didn't have anybody to pick him up. And that's why you get in that cover 1, so at least if that happens again, you have a safety to erase the big play and just keep it at a minimum. We'll see why they called a timeout and what they're going to come back with. We haven't seen the shovel play in a while. That's something that's very conservative, a conservative play in this part of the field maybe, or do they get aggressive and allow Sandberg to throw the ball down the field with them backed up?
Let's take a look at the road to the state championship for the Manatee Hurricanes. They started out with an impressive 55-2 win against Pinellas Park. Then they defeated Venice for the 2nd time this year, 34-21, much closer than the regular season game. Fort Pierce, a game that was a defensive struggle, and Joe Canan said, I was too conservative play calling offensively. His D helped save him with a touchdown. He also picked up 2 field goals. They win 13-10. Then the state semifinals against a very good Dwyer Panther team under Coach Jack Daniels, a 19-14 victory in a game that could have gone either way. 2nd straight year Dwyer's lost a tough, heartbreaking game in the semifinals. Here's Anthony Lauro, 1st down plus more. He falls forward near the 20-yard line.
So they go with a toss. No pass, no shovel. Let's just run the football to Lauro. And, you know, this is one of those ones where you get your back going right now. He gets downhill. Allen gets enough of that block, and your linebacker's got to come across and make the play. You got to show up in the backfield, and that was too easy on the toss.
So Lauro having a big game in the air as a receiver, and now as a running back in the eye as he looks for a block and has one. Gain of about 5, 6, let's call it 7 on 1st down for Anthony Lauro, just a junior.
Reggie Northrup made a heck of a play, though. He came from the backside, showed great effort. It might have been more on that play. There you see him on the season, 227 tackles. Had that big fumble recovery a week ago, and he is one of those highly sought-after senior linebackers for First Coast, but they've got to start making some plays. They need some help, too, from the D-line. Got to see more penetration from the D-line.
Willie Smith with an interception to give Manatee the ball back, leading 14-0, and Leon Allen trying to add to that total. Allen still on his feet, finally tripped up in First Coast territory at the 35. Big gain for the senior. 37 yards on that carry.
They haven't stopped the shovel play yet, and this is frustrating for a coach. Down block, pull the guard, Spurko up in there. He picks off the linebacker, and out the door goes number 7, Leon Allen. Here you'll see it once again. Watch Spurko come up in here. He gets a nice block on McMillan. Then you get the missed tackle, really, by number 21 for First Coast right there. Darius Whitty, who's got to get up in there and fit better, but they've run that play 3 or 4 times and haven't stopped it yet.
Nice numbers added to Sandberg's passing totals on that little shovel pass tonight. He gets by Northrop there, but gets wrestled down after a gain of 5. 2 minutes to go in this first half. Plenty of time for Manatee. They still have a timeout remaining, and they have the ball at the 30.
Well, Sandberg has managed the offense very well. And, you know, you look at this thing, and it just feels like anything they want to get, they can get right now for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards.
Marty Lee would love to go into the locker room only down 2 scores, but he needs to stop Anthony Laurel right here. Reggie Northrop, he had that big hit on special teams to start the game, makes the play there for a short gain.
That's what I'm talking about with the linebackers. You know, again, they still picked up positive yards on it, but he closed quicker on that one on the toss. And it's kind of a quick toss. It's not a slow developing, you know, student body right or left from 1974. I mean, they get it out to him and he goes quick.
Lauro and Leon Allen are the running backs. Allen in front of Lauro in the eye on this 3rd down and 3 play with a minute to go in the first half. Lauro is stopped. McMillan, the first man there, had some help from his teammates, and it'll be a 4th down for Manatee.
Well, there's a good play right there by the linebackers again. Daniel McMillan coming up and stepping up. Watch him right here. He reads the play, stop, right there. See him? He's going to come right there, fill that gap, and make the play. Hangs on, gets his head out in front. That's a good job of reading your keys, following window to window, because there's windows in front of you instead of guessing like they were earlier, mirroring that running back and then stopping him in the hole.
They go for it on 4th down. They need to get to the 25, and they do so on the pitch play for a first. Leon Allen. 22 seconds left in the half. They have a first down.
Now that was a speed option, and I think Reggie Northrop just got caught up in the wash there, and they didn't have anybody on the perimeter. McMillan came in late, but well, good play by Manatee, but now time's against them a little bit.
First Coast calls a timeout. Maybe they didn't have the right number of players in, but with 16 seconds to go and the clock running, that's a tough timeout to call on the defensive end.
Absolutely. I mean, they did have 11 guys on the field, Todd, and, you know, when you burn a timeout like that, Manatee's only got 1 left, so they're thinking field goal. They're trying to run another play. You know, it's too much to your advantage. All you got to do is get set up in your base defense. You got to have a base call, but Marty Lee's decided, hey, let me settle these guys down, make sure they're well coached, know what's going on when they go back out there. Understand Manatee's probably got 2 plays to get it in the end zone, and then they can try a field goal again.
Manatee has 2 scores. Cord Sandberg a 12-yard quarterback run, and Sandberg hitting that guy, Anthony Lauro, on a 44-yard pass right down the middle as he was untouched. Current drive for Manatee, 9 plays, 74 yards. And they've taken 4 minutes and 42 seconds off the clock, and this started with an interception back in the end zone by Willie Smith.
Yeah, an interception, and they had First Coast had him in 3rd and long, and they ran the toss sweep 3rd and 7 to Laurel, and he picked up the first down, and they could have had the field position flipped this way. They were back inside their 20. So give Manatee credit. One credit that needs to be given is this offensive line. The Hurricane offensive line has played very well in the first half.
16 seconds ago, Sandberg in trouble, throws, and it is tipped away. He rushed the pass, and it was a nice defensive play made by First Coast. That was made by Kamel Gomez.
Wow, Gomez went for the play and made it, but watch the hit Sandberg takes right there by Reggie Northrup. And then Gomez, if he doesn't get his fingertips on that, that's a touchdown for Manatee, but excellent play for Mr. Gomez right there in the backfield, the senior.
Nice job by Kamel. 12 seconds to go in the half. Manatee does have a timeout remaining. It is 2nd down and 10. The downs are not going to be a factor here with this little time remaining in the half. Out of the gun again. The lefty Sandberg setting up a screen for Leon Allen with 6 seconds left in the half. And he is down close to the 15 with 2 seconds left in the half. Will they get a timeout? No time remaining. He stayed on his feet too long, as it turns out. And Manatee will not get a shot at a field goal.
No, and that was a critical mistake by Allen. And now they're going to try to say maybe he had 1 second left, but Allen, fighting for extra yardage, ended up winding down all the clock. And we'll see, there's a player down on the field, and Coach Canan is signaling for 1 second.
Player down on the field is JoJo Jackson. He is the vocal leader. Actually, there's 2 guys down on the field. There's JoJo Jackson and the other guy, Daniel McMillan. Those are the 2 key guys in the linebacking core, along with Reggie Northrup. And right now the scoreboard says zeros. Joe Canan is bartering for 1 second, and the officials are still on the field. We do have 1 second. The First Coast fans don't like that call.
Yeah, that's a tough call right there, you know, and obviously the timeout has to come from way over there. That's when, if you're First Coast, you probably wish you didn't call that timeout to stop the clock at 16 seconds.
It looked like he was down very close to the time expiring. Somehow the veteran coach, Joe Canan, got a timeout with 1 second left on the clock in the half to set up a potential field goal by Nick Tankersley. That was very close to end of half, I'll tell you that.
Well, at least we get to see Todd Callis's shoes again. I know you got a suit that goes with these shoes, do you?
I do. I borrow them from Ronald McDonald on a weekly basis.
Look at those things.
You can't hide with those shoes.
Whatever works, my friend, whatever works.
33-yard attempt from the right hash mark. First Coast felt like they should be in the locker room right now, but Manatee able to get that last second timeout. First Coast will call a timeout here and let Tankersley think about it a little bit. So McMillan and Jackson down on the field for First Coast. Hopefully they'll be okay, because those are 2 key players for this team to have a chance in the second half. If you're First Coast, you get inside the 20 twice, and both times you throw an interception. So you've been able to get there, just about executing once you get into the red zone. And to be down 17-0 if Tankersley makes his field goal, not ideal, but certainly manageable for a team that throws the ball a lot.
Yeah, they got to do a better job on defense. I just don't think they have a control. I feel like Manatee has control of this game, and the First Coast is fortunate to be down 2 scores, because it really looks like the Manatee offensive line is winning that line of scrimmage. And then when you go to the other side, you know, it's going to be tough on the freshman quarterback if they're behind the whole day and they know he's going to throw as much as he is against that excellent defensive front for Manatee.
McMillan back in there after leaving with an injury, the timeout, and now he's back on the field. He's important because he blocked the kick in the last attempt, a much longer attempt last time of 49 yards. This time from 33 yards out, the kick is wide right. And there is a flag down at the line of scrimmage on the missed field goal attempt. Joe Canan looking on. He will wait to hear William Myrick's explanation of the flag.
With a personal foul, roughing the snap. First down.
Roughing the snapper. So the clock is at zeros, but on a defensive penalty, you cannot end the half. Roughing the snapper, I haven't heard that one.
Well, he's in a vulnerable position. This is a rule, but I'm not a rulesman. Let's see. Here's the snapper right there in the middle.
What's that?
Oh, man.
What's that? I don't see that at all.
They need to, wow.
He got blocked. McMillan got blocked into the center. You didn't rough him?
Man, oh man, is that a bad call.
That was not.
Wasn't even rough him.
No.
I mean, he didn't even hardly hit him. He just fell into him.
That's a shame. If justice is served, and we hate to wish poorly on Nick Tankersley, but if justice is served, this will not be good because that was not a penalty on First Coast. The snap is back and good, and this time the kick is up. And the benefit of a good call there, a flag that goes Manatee's way, gives the Hurricanes a 17-0 lead. Let's check in with Laura McKeeman.
Now, Coach, Cord Sandberg executing your offense beautifully on the ground and through the air. What did you see from your quarterback?
Well, we're real happy with how we're doing it. Defense has come up with a couple big turnovers. They had the blocked field goal, but the defense, ended up turning around and, getting us the ball back. Nice drive at the end. That was big, those 3 points. It's now 3 scores in just 2.
Yeah, what did you see just now? Did you think that was a roughing of the snapper?
I didn't look at it, but you're not allowed to hit the long snapper.
All right, Coach, we'll get into the locker room. That's Joe Canan. Back up to you, Todd.
So 2 situations go against First Coast. The timeout with 1 second to go, which was very close, and then the roughing the snapper call, which we don't agree with up here, goes against the Buccaneers. And as Coach Canan said, it was a big field goal because now it's a 3-score game at 17-0. Cord Sandberg, a touchdown run and a touchdown pass, and the junior quarterback has his team in front, 17-0 at the break. We'll have more with Jessica Blaylock and Laura McKeeman right after this in the 7A championship game from Orlando. Second half action. Just a few minutes away from kicking off the second half. Manatee leading 17-0 over First Coast. First Coast will get the ball to start the second half. And Jessica Blaylock caught up with their head coach coming out of the locker room, Marty Lee. Jess?
All right, thank you, Todd. Well, Coach Lee, 2 trips to the red zone, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
What needs to get better to start converting those opportunities?
Well, we've got to block better. We said before the ball game that we couldn't turn the ball over and we had to play assignment football. And we didn't do either one of those 2 things. And for us to be down 17-0, we're still in this ball game. We could be blown out of this ball game. We've got to execute. We've got to take care of the ball in the red zone a whole lot better in the second half.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Todd, Brady, back up to you.
Thank you, Jess. Marty Lee and his Buccaneers trailing by 3 scores. A critical field goal there at the end of the first half that was a very beneficial extra play given to the Hurricanes as the Tankersley field goal in the final play of the half after a roughing the snapper call gave them 1 extra play. And Joe Canan looking for his 5th state crown and his 7th appearance here in the state championship game.
Yeah, very rarely do you see a high school officials put time back on the clock. The play before that. But regardless, Coach Lee knows that they've got to protect their quarterback and their defense has got to play assignment football. They've got to shut down Sandberg, the quarterback. And one of the things you got to do is hit him. I mean, he's played a half of football and he's run and thrown and moved around and they've had the ball for 36 snaps and really First Coast hasn't put a lick on him. And that's a testament to this young man who's an excellent football player. But also, your defense has got to send a message. You got to do that. And right now, Manatee's offensive line is winning the line of scrimmage against First Coast's defense, and their linebackers are making a lot of tackles. It's going to look good in the stat sheet where they're 5 and 6 yards down the field.
First Coast has never appeared in the state championship game prior to this season. In fact, before this year, First Coast, a school that's been around since 1990, only had 3 playoff wins in school history. They had 4 playoff wins alone already in this state championship run, and they feel like it is their time to shine, coming in at 13-0. They are trailing 17-0 to Manatee. However, this is a team that has come from behind twice this year, down 14 points. They trailed Ed White on the road by 14 points earlier this season, and they also trailed Fleming Island, a team that knocked them out in the playoffs the last 2 years. They trailed 20-6 in the playoffs and came back to win that game 27-20.
And they're going to get the ball first. So this is a chance. You come out right now. You haven't had the ball very much on offense. You got a good plan. You come out and you go down and you get some points and to give your defense something to be fired up about and let your defense get a little extra rest to play that Manatee offense. They've had some success throwing the ball. They haven't had any success running it, but you got to still run it to keep them honest. It'll be interesting to see if First Coast goes back to that empty formation because they did catch an empty. They did catch Manatee in 0 coverage, but they couldn't convert, they couldn't protect.
So Manatee will kick off, and Chris Black will field it in his own end zone. That will be a touchback and 1st and 10 for the Buccaneers from the 20-yard line.
Only 4 first downs for First Coast in the first half, minus 11 yards rushing. But I think the biggest thing that an offense like this needs is opportunities, because passing offense has got to get into a rhythm. And this young quarterback, you know, he's been hit on both of his interceptions. I mean, he's been hit pretty good. And yet he's hung in there nicely. I think he's played well as a freshman, but he needs more opportunities.
Every pass he has thrown has been caught, 5 by his team and 2 by the other side. 5 for 7 with 2 picks in the first half for the young freshman, DeAndre Johnson. Here we go, second half. First play from line of scrimmage is a pick. Only the pitch back, only the 3rd run of the game for the Buccaneers from First Coast, as they pitch it back to Darrell King on the first down play. Check that, Lonzo Square.
Yeah, Lonzo Square. And, you know, you look at these 2 running backs for First Coast. We hadn't even had a chance to talk about them. Square, who's a senior, averages 9 yards per carry. King averages 7.4, and it's to keep teams honest, because they're basically a 3-wide, 2-back set. So they got 2 backs, you know, with 3 open. They very rarely use a tight end. So these backs have had some big chunks of yardage this year. Let's see if they can get them involved. 9
yards on that first run of the second half. Now pass that is tipped and incomplete. It was 2nd down and 1. First Coast fans thought there should have been a flag there. Instead, there is no flag. It'll be 3rd and short.
Well, I've never been a big fan of the screen out of I formation under center. I mean, it's so easy. You only need a yard. It's so easy just to get in the gun in your normal formation, throw it out there to Black. That takes the defensive end out of the play. Ends are so athletic these days, and they have a higher football IQ. They know as soon as you're going to throw that screen to get up and try to knock it down, and they can't do that when you line up in the gun.
They're going to give the quarterback a chance, and DeAndre Johnson, with a big push from his offensive line, easily has the first down. As First Coast, with 4 first downs in the first half, picks up a first down here to start half number 2.
I will tell you this, if I see it, I like under center throwing a bubble screen when you're throwing it back and the guy's bending around. But the straight screen they tried to throw there to the single receiver, I'm not a big fan of. But no harm, no foul. Todd, they get a first down.
Thanks to Lonzo Square's first run of the half that picked up 9 yards. Now quad receivers all over the top of your screen, and DeAndre Johnson wasn't ready for the snap. Does a good job covering it up. But that is a big loss on a miscommunication between Johnson and his center, Marquise Nixon.
He's looking to the right side. He's still got his hands on the towel, and I saw offensive coordinator Blair Twigg. There you see his eyes right there. He's putting the guy in motion. The center just snapped it too soon. I saw Blair Twigg, the offensive coordinator, yelling at someone, and not sure what happened there, but he snapped the ball before he was supposed to. And that's a big mistake, I think, on the center.
We're going to assume that's Nixon wearing number 72. He is their starting center. Normally he wore 50 this year. Johnson with a little screen pass set up for Black. And Chris Black can't come up with it as he fired it a little bit behind his receiver, who's heading to Alabama.
Again, pressure, pressure. And you're supposed to give ground on a screen play, a little tunnel screen to Black across the middle. But, I mean, Manatee is getting there quick. They have fresh legs, have not been on the field a lot, and it's an excellent front 4. And that time they forced him to throw it too hard, and the young freshman just put too much zip on him, threw it behind Black, and he couldn't come up with a catch.
Nearly impossible situation here for First Coast after the big loss on the missed snap. It's now 3rd and 30.
Got to think field position, though. You got to get some play, get some yards out of this, help your kicker out.
This time Johnson is protected. He fires it towards the Manatee sideline. Chris Black goes up and makes the catch, but no, he's out of bounds. Did not get his feet down in bounds, and that was close to a 30-yard pickup on 3rd and 30.
They run a switch route at the top of the screen, and he just throws it up. But you got to leave your receiver an opportunity to catch it in bounds. He goes up for it, but he's way too far out of bounds.
Black had 2 catches in the first half for 21 yards. And that is the first incompletion, actually second one of this drive for DeAndre Johnson. So back to punt for First Coast is Chris Cook. And Manatee should have good field position. They block the kick. They block the kick. It's rolling around in the end zone, and it's a touchdown for the Hurricanes. Special teams touchdown as they block the kick from Chris Cook. And Manatee now leads 23-0.
Well, a lot of issues there on that play. First of all, the protection. I think Purvis Goff got it on the block. Here you see him right there, number 4. Let's see, they overload the left side, but you just, 24 just can't allow him to come inside on him, and that's Shaq Beverly. And if we could show that again, you can't give away your inside. That's the closest path to the punter, and it is blocked easily.
The extra point as they will roll right with it and stopped on the conversion attempt. Nice play, really closing on the sideline by JoJo Jackson for First Coast.
That's a big stop. I mean, you're going to laugh at me, Todd, but that makes it a 3-possession game as opposed to a 4-possession game, assuming you could stop them. I mean, you got to convert 3 2-pointers, but still, big play on the 2-point stop for First Coast.
So Manatee with a special teams touchdown leads it 23-0. The 2011 FHSAA Football Finals are brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. 23-0 Manatee, First Coast in its first state championship game, looking for its first points. This is a team that has scored at least 21, Brady, every game this year, but they need to get things rolling as they are down by 3 scores.
Well, the Buccaneers still fired up. He's getting them going. Pulling out some of those John Sulcer dance steps right there on the sideline. Look at him.
Sulcer keeping busy during the offseason, getting ready for the Marlins' new stadium. As you take a look at the guy that blocked the punt right there, and that is Purvis Goff. The recovery by Blake Keller, the junior lineman, giving Manatee a 23-0 lead.
Well, you mentioned the First Coast offense. You go back to last year, 19 straight games over 21 points. So.
Kick is deep again. Tankersley has quite a leg, and he is really limiting Chris Black's chances to return a kick. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Todd, the words that First Coast has lived by all year long is you got to play 48 minutes to beat the Bucks. Coach Lee brought that up at the beginning of the season, and it just stuck. And they've had to battle back in several games, as you guys mentioned, with a few of those being won in either the 4th quarter or even overtime. But Coach Lee believes those games have helped them prepare for this matchup, and we'll have to see how things play out.
Thanks, Jess. This will be a big series here for the Buccaneers to try and get some momentum back as DeAndre Johnson, the freshman quarterback. Marty Lee said the first time I saw him throw this summer, I knew this kid would be our quarterback. As he goes back to throw. And he has the ball knocked out of his hands. The ball is loose inside the 5 to the goal line, and it is recovered at the 2. And it's recovered by First Coast. Call it the 3. That is a break for the Buccaneers.
Derek Callaway just blows up the right guard, number 64, Denzel Blackman. I mean, what a play. Look at this right here. Just leverages him right out of the play. Ooh, swats it through there before he can even get the arm going forward. First Coast lucky to get it back. Again, I think they need to get into shotgun. Here they are in their empty set.
Callaway with a half dozen sacks in the regular season. That was a nice recovery by Lonzo Square to keep the ball with First Coast. Now a safety situation, tries to underhand it. It is incomplete.
These guys, I don't think they know what to call a safety. Or, I mean, it would be intentional grounding in the end zone. They're saying incomplete pass.
That should be a safety, shouldn't it? A little.
Well, they didn't call intentional grounding, but look how quick the Manatee ends are on the quarterback right here. They are just teeing off. Watch them come off the edge. 1, 2, not even 3 seconds, 2.1.
That's not grounding?
I don't know, but I give the freshman credit. He pulled it off.
He did it.
He pulled it off.
All right, the Buccaneers were due a call or two, and they get one there. That could have been a safety. Instead, it's 3rd down.
They might need to think about chipping. They might need to leave a back in and chip these defensive ends.
Going up top as he lost it. You see the arm strength on that young freshman, Justin Osborne, trying to get underneath that pass but couldn't do so. It'll be a punting situation.
Well, he's starting to look like a freshman now. He's been hit, he's rattled, threw that one way too soon. You know, he could feel that pocket closing around him. That time they went to the I formation and left both backs in to help out with the defensive ends. And they may have to do that because they got 3 excellent receivers in Osborne, Brooks, and Black. But empty has been a difficult formation for them tonight. They haven't been able to get what they've gotten all year, and I think the freshman quarterback's rattled.
At his last punt block, this time he gets pressure but gets it away and some room to return it. And up the middle, bringing it back, Ryan Taylor inside the 25. Taylor giving Manatee great field position at the 23, and that's what they lead by, 23-0.
Well, Daniel McMillan may have saved a touchdown with the tackle, but they've got to find a turnover or something on defense, and you're talking about a Manatee offense that has turned the ball over just 11 times all season. They take care of the football in Bradenton.
Manatee was runner-up 2 years ago in the Class 5A title game. Their last championship was 1992 with Willie Taggart as the quarterback. Taggart now the head coach of the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in the Sun Belt Conference. He has Leon Allen joining him next year.
We have a timeout. First Coast.
First Coast takes a timeout on defense with 8:34 to go in the third quarter. Time to check in on the Manatee sidelines with Laura McKeemy.
Guys, Coach Joe Canan has been around for a while, and he's implemented a lot of cool programs. One of them being a Wednesday program where he brings in a special speaker every Wednesday to speak to his team because they're released early on that day. So he always speaks after practice. Now, most recently, this past Wednesday, Bob Delaney, the former NBA official, came to speak. He's obviously somebody that has some ties to the Tampa area and lives in that Manatee area, and his message was accountability. He told this Manatee team to keep each other accountable. I think they're doing that tonight, guys.
Pitch back to Leon Allen. Canan has just had a legendary run at Bradenton Manatee, 27 years of that program. His entire coaching staff's basically guys that played for him in title games.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I like what he does. He calls it like a career day type thing, career enhancement, where he brings someone in to speak to send a message to his team, and there's different messages sent by different speakers that have nothing to do with Manatee, but have everything to do with life. It's a life enhancement program, and accountability is the #1 thing you learn in football.
Sandberg running the option, pitches it back to Allen. Allen escapes the ankle tackle, then gets wrapped up, but enough for a first down. You saw some of his coaching staff there. You've got Steve Peebles, who coaches the O-line. He was part of the '83 title team. Tracy Sanders coaches the cornerbacks. He was the quarterback on that '83 team. Steve Goulash is the defensive line coach. He was on the '92 state champs. Rod Frazier, whose brother Tommy, maybe the most well-known Manatee player. He was a freshman on that '93 runner-up team, and then Chris Valcarcel, also a linebacker coach, was on those championship teams as well. So it's quite a crew he has coaching. And he's got, you talk about 6 degrees of separation. With all his connections, he has like 2 degrees of separation to almost everybody in the state of Florida in the football game. We have a flag down on this first down and goal play.
Encroachment. Defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
One thing you'll notice about the programs in this state that are always in the mix and have won 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 titles at Jacksonville Bowls, you look at their staffs. Head coach has been there a long time. Top assistants have been there a long time. There's a lot of ties to the program, and I think that benefits programs. That's why you see the St. Thomas, the Lakeland, the Manatees here every year in the state championship game.
Shovel pass to Leon Allen inside the 5. It'll be second down and goal from about the 3.
I think there's some programs now, excuse me, Todd, that are building that. Tampa Plant is one of that, with Coach Weiner over there, that have been here consistently. So, you know, you look at it, Central's coming back again. I think the programs that commit to a coach and then a staff and they stay together, I think those are the ones that have the best chance to be here multiple times. Look at Coach Lee. He's been at First Coast a long time.
Since they started.
Yeah, he's a young guy, but he's been there a long time. But it's taken him a while to get here. It's not easy.
He was and still is on the faculty there, one of only 6 teachers that's still there when the school opened up in 1990. One thing he was really proud of is this is a school that along with others up in Jacksonville, as you probably well know, we're thinking about cutting some sports in Duval County. And he just thinks any exposure his team can get as a public school from that county is just going to help trying to stress the importance of what football can do to a community.
There's a lot of counties thinking about that. It's not just Jacksonville. It's about getting rid of sports and going to club sports and doing all these different things. And I think that would just be, I know the budget's tight, but that would just be terrible for these kids to not be able to play high school football.
They need a big stop here. Does First Coast on 3rd and goal from the 5, already trailing 23-0, and before the snap, flags go down. But they ended up raising almost $500,000 this year because they knew that some of those sports were in trouble to keep those afloat.
Dead ball. Ball start on the offense. Repeat the down. That's a 5-yard penalty.
And the message that I would say is not just keep football, keep all high school sports. And I think a lot of football programs can be self-sufficient. And you said, hey, if your sport can raise the money, you guys can play. Well, you can't do it that way. You got to have opportunities for high school athletes, both male and female. That's part of your enrichment of being a student.
Sandberg flips it. Lauro on the reverse. Anthony Lauro breaks the tackle, puts his head down. He's into the end zone. Anthony Lauro's second score of the game on a little flip from Cord Sandberg.
Now this reverse may be the first stake in the coffin of First Coast. It looked like they might get a stop. And it just, Lauro did a great job of getting to the corner, well blocked up front, and nobody home for First Coast.
He had a great game against Don Bosco Prep in one of their 2 losses this year. One of the reasons why Manatee's not further up in the national rankings is they lost 2 out-of-state games as Tankersley adds the extra point. 30-0. The Bradenton Manatee Hurricanes looking for a 7A crown. It would be the first ever Florida 7A crown since they reclassified teams this year.
He's going to look, it looks like a speed option to the right. Laurel's going to come back on the reverse to the left, and he really only has to make one guy miss. It gets to the end zone. Good peel back block by Thor Miller. There you see him fight through McMillan and carry him into the end zone, but he had all the momentum going that way. McMillan really didn't have much of a chance, and 30-0. Now you got to take it possession by possession if you're First Coast. You're not thinking win, you're thinking win this possession. Have something positive go on offense. This is a really good offense to be shut out right now.
Manatee 12-0 against Florida teams. In the regular season, they played 8 Florida schools and 2 out-of-state schools. In those 8 games against Florida schools, 6 times they had a running clock. They just dominated teams, including Venice, when they beat them in the regular season. Tankersley not letting Black return any kicks tonight. Chris Black probably getting a little frustrated for First Coast. He's going to have a college career starting next year in Tuscaloosa. Part of what could be a national champion Tide team coming back. The Alabama Crimson Tide will be playing LSU for the title game, and Chris Black trying to help out that program.
By the time they play LSU, Chris Black might be in school there, January the 9th.
That's right.
He might probably already be in class. He's an early entry guy, if I'm not mistaken, and it just seems like he's, he hadn't signed with Alabama yet, but it looks like it's pretty much a lock. Heck, he brought an Alabama hat to wear on the sideline.
Here's a little swing pass to Darrell King. We haven't had a chance to call him much today. He gets a nice block from Justin Osborne, and King has enough for the first down. Still on his feet, still fighting. And let's check in with Jessica Blaylock on more on Chris Black.
Well, Todd, as you mentioned, Chris Black will head to Alabama next year to play college ball for Nick Saban. And I had a chance to talk with him about what he thinks it's going to be like to play for Saban, who is well known for being a tough, hard-nosed guy. And he told me that's exactly why he wanted to commit to the Crimson Tide. He knows Saban will fully develop his talent and get him ready for the NFL, which is his dream. And Todd, you'll remember we saw him last night, and he was definitely rocking that Bama hat proudly.
Yes, he did, and he's got the Alabama gloves on the palms of his gloves, so he's all about the Crimson Tide, and there he is. It is 30-0 though, Manatee, as we have a water break here in the 3rd quarter. First Coast, a team that was outgained by East Ridge in the regional finals. First time they ever won a regional finals. They were outgained by Lakeland in the state semifinals, but they found a way to win. Today they're going up against the Manatee Hurricanes team that is playing an outstanding football game in every facet.
Yeah, they're good and well coached in all three phases. And you know, you look at this Manatee team, you know, they've had a pretty tough schedule. And I think the biggest thing for First Coast, not that they didn't have a tough schedule, is Manatee, when you build your program to where it's at, you could step out of state and play a team like Don Bosco, and you can benefit a lot from that. And you know, you played a week ago Palm Beach Gardens Dwyer, an excellent football team as well. So you know, I just, you know, that game was so physical over in Bradenton a week ago. You just knew Manatee was going to be ready to play tonight.
Here's Darrell King with another carry. And Manatee lost those 2 games to the out-of-state teams by a combined 13 points. Our Lady of Counsel, who ended up undefeated in the state of Maryland, and Don Bosco Prep, who is currently ranked #1 in the nation by USA Today. And then they beat everybody else they played, including a Dwyer team that knocked out St. Thomas Aquinas. First time that Aquinas hadn't been in the state semis since 2003, and down goes the freshman quarterback again. A trio of defenders in there, including Derek Calloway, Blake Keller, and also that guy right there, Marquise Dawson.
Well, he's not, you know, DeAndre Johnson just hasn't had a chance to get on track, and that time in a 3-receiver route, everybody's going deep. So when the protection breaks down, you don't have that check down or that safety valve because you're having to leave him in to try to help you block. So it's really just been a difficult night for him as far as the pressure. It's an invaluable experience. He's as good as advertised. The ball comes off his hand nice. He has great composure. They really need to try to move him just a half roll with some simple 2-receiver routes and try to get some momentum because they can't block these guys.
Looking to set up a screen, and he had no chance because covered up on the play was Justin Osborne. The Hurricanes played that perfectly on the defensive end.
Watch Keller right here. He just goes right around the left tackle, and that is number 54 that's in there right now for First Coast at left tackle.
Sam Merrill.
Sam Merrill, who isn't their usual left tackle, but he's in there, and you've just got, when you got a guy with speed like that, you got to widen, you got to get a hand on him, you got to engage. You can't just let him go past you.
Another punt here for Chris Cook. Cook gets off a really nice kick, driving Ryan Taylor back, who bobbles the ball but regains possession, and he's taken under by a couple of special teams players. Good play by First Coast, as -4 on the return. Jacoby Jacobs in there on the hit, as was Alfred Ansley. Fans, you can log on to FoxSportsFlorida.com for interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and analysis of all your favorite Florida sports teams. It is coverage you won't get anywhere else, and it's on FoxSportsFlorida.com. We also have the finals updates for the entire weekend here with the big schools in town in Orlando, 5A through 8A. Tonight, the odd number teams, 5 and 7 play. Tomorrow, the even number teams, the 6A and the 8A squads. Leon Allen just rolling up the middle. A big gain of 16 yards on that first down carry. And it's getting to that point now where First Coast is looking at the scoreboard and realizing we have come from behind before, but we have never been down by this margin.
It looks like Johnson right there. He's talking to the guys. They're like, what's happening? He says, the pressure from around the ends. It's just coming. It's just, the pocket's just caving in.
Quite a story. That freshman quarterback in middle school was in a veer offense where he didn't have a chance to throw the ball hardly at all. He said, in 8 games, I threw maybe 10 or 12 passes the entire season. Well, he's come out throwing this year, his team all the way to the state championship. But unfortunately, it looks like First Coast is going to end up with a runner-up trophy in the 2011 title game. 3.5 to go, and Manatee with the football comfortably in control, 30-0.
Yeah, and you know, it's a learning process. When you put in, First Coast has been a program with plenty of Division I talent come through there under Coach Lee. They've had some really good teams, so I would expect them to be good the next couple of years, but it's what you do with this experience, the guys coming back. To have a quarterback like this coming back, I think bodes well for First Coast in the future.
Gordon Sandberg hasn't carried the ball in a while. He takes a carry up the middle, and he picks up 8 yards. He now has 12 carries for 54 yards.
Yeah, the one thing he can learn from watching Sandberg on the other sideline is his ability to understand and recognize what's going on around him if it breaks down, you know, take off and run, this, that, and the other. I mean, right now, Johnson's still a freshman, so he wants to throw everything. He's physically going to continue to grow and get bigger and stronger. And maybe the next time we see First Coast, if we do, he'll be a kid that can take off and run when you get that kind of pressure and make them pay when they bring 5 and 6 guys on pressure.
This time Sandberg doesn't go very far. Nice tackle by Jawan Fannin, the big 355-pound senior who may have injured his right hand a little bit on that stop.
Still plenty of good young players on this First Coast team, and it's really been surprising how Manatee has been able to handle this First Coast defense. In the regular season, First Coast held 6 opponents to 10 points or less. Now the numbers have gone up in the postseason. They've given up nearly 20 points a game, but we see that for a lot of teams. They've got terrific linebackers, 2 D1 linebackers, another one who's just a junior, yet Manatee's pretty much done whatever they want tonight.
Lauro steps out of bounds on that little swing pass. That last tackle by Fannin, it looked like before the play started he was favoring that right hand. We saw him leave the game earlier, and the big fellow's going to come to the sideline now. He basically made that tackle with one arm. When you're at 355, you can get in the way of a lot of ball carriers.
Hard to pull that senior off the field. He didn't want to come out, but you know, still giving great effort. That's what the seniors can do in a game like this that's one-sided. You try to continue to play hard, send the message to the young guys. This is the standard we've set at First Coast. An undefeated season, the championship game appearance, but you got to play hard for 48 minutes.
These seniors do not want to see it end this way and do not want to come off the field injured. Lauro's had a big game. He takes the reverse. That scored a touchdown on the last play. This time he somehow bobs and weaves his way through traffic. There is a flag down. He is shy of the first down on that 3rd down and 8.
He was just like dancing in motion over there, letting everybody run out of the way. You run out of bounds, you run out of bounds, now I'm going to go.
We have a block in the back on the offense.
So that play will be brought back. It was 3rd and 8. Now it'll be 3rd and long for Bradenton Manatee. Here's another look. Let's take a look at Lauro's Dancing with the Stars move.
Well, they love this reverse. You know, they like a lot of misdirection. There's 76 out in front again. Thor Miller getting a pancake block, I believe, on Savon Lowry, the junior. And someone else was blocking in the back, but I can tell you this, it wasn't Thor Miller. What a name, Thor. That's an offensive lineman name. That's an offensive lineman name right there. Look at that name. That right there. You gotta love that name, Thor. I don't think too many people pick on that guy.
No, he's smiling. I think he saw that on the video screen here. Citrus Bowl.
When you're up 30-0, I guess you can look at the video screen.
During that huddle, he's facing right towards that screen in the end zone. 3rd down and a bunch. It's called 3rd and 15. Sandberg throws to an open Leon Allen, and Allen dropped the football.
I think he heard footsteps from Darius Whitty because he was wide open. And Sandberg, I mean, you can't play any better than he's played tonight. Very efficient. Play action. Looks like there's nobody else out there except him and whoever he's throwing it to. There he is. He steps back. Golly, it looks like Tebow throwing it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And there he goes. 7 just took his eyes off of it. Allen, he felt the footsteps at 21 coming, but that wasn't the quarterback's fault.
It results in the first punt of the game for Manatee. 1:43 to go in the 3rd quarter, and Nick Tankersley with those stylish yellow shoes gets the punt off. It'll land at the 12-yard line, take a First Coast bounce towards the 15, where it's now out of bounds. And the Buccaneers will take over 1st and 10 with 1:34 to go in the quarter. It'll be nice to see the freshman get a little bit of time to show what he can do. This is a team, the Buccaneers, we mentioned they scored 21 points in every game. They average over 36 points a game. They have a great passing attack, but it's really been stuffed by this Manatee pass rush.
Yeah, they actually are one of the few high school teams that throw it more than they run it. They've had 452 points this season, but, you know, they just can't seem to get their offense going because they can't win the line of scrimmage. They can't protect. And I talked at the top of the broadcast, that was the battle that could dictate the whole game. Even though Manatee's offensive line has been very impressive, the fact that this offensive line couldn't protect and couldn't really hold out this Manatee defense has been the story.
Brandon Brooks is open as he makes the catch, and he is streaking down the sideline. He is finally wrapped up and out of bounds and thrown down at the 11-yard line. Well, there we see the first big connection, although there is a flag back at the line of scrimmage. There is a flag at the line of scrimmage, and the Manatee defenders are pointing First Coast direction. There is no flag at the end of the play. The Buccaneers thought that Brooks could have been thrown down after the play was out of bounds.
There's the throw. I don't see anything there.
That time Jalen Holmes had coverage, but then he kind of stopped.
Yeah, he froze. His feet quit moving when he looked for the ball. He just stopped to look for the ball, and then he realized, uh-oh.
They call a personal foul on First Coast. That was back at the line of scrimmage. So if it's a dead ball foul, they will bring it all the way down and then mark it off. So it's still going to benefit the Buccaneers. It's not going to be a negated play. Let's take a look and see what happens.
See if we can see it in the back. There you see four-man pressure. Once again, nothing there. I just don't see it. But you're right. Jalen Holmes just kind of stopped when he saw the ball, and he lost his momentum. And still a big play for First Coast.
74-yard pass connection. DeAndre Johnson to Brandon Brooks. Brooks is heading to Troy University to play for the Troy Trojans in the Sun Belt Conference. He'll get a game there against Leon Allen in Western Kentucky at some point. It is 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. First Coast looking to get on the board for the first time in this championship game. The freshman has a pass that is a loose ball, and it is still on the ground, and Manatee had a chance at it. They tried to pick it up and run with it, and it cost them because First Coast recovers. It's still a big loss of over 20 yards on the play.
Looked like he put a little extra mustard on this one. This was the bubble screen where you throw it backwards, basically. See, he's under center. Now he's going to step and throw it backwards. I like that play. Could have been a double pass potentially. It looks like they were running number 8, Brandon Brooks, on a corner route. Wouldn't have surprised me if that was a double pass, although I don't think he would have ever gotten it off with the pressure that was coming. But the reality of it is First Coast is fortunate to get the ball back.
Marquise Dawson tried to pick it up and run with it. Looked like he had a chance to just fall on the football, tried to get into the end zone, and instead First Coast gets it back after the loss of 21. It's second down. Actually, with the penalty, it's now 2nd and 26, and now it's 3rd and even more than that as Dawsey, who didn't pick up the loose ball, comes right back in and picks up a sack. His 2nd sack of the night, his 14th sack of the year.
Yeah, the junior, part of that talented underclassmen defensive line. Remember, they lost 3 guys to Division I scholarships last year. Here he comes. That's a mini swim technique. Okay, he didn't have to completely swim them, but that's what he used. You get the guy going backwards, left hand comes up on the tackle, right hand goes over, he gets to the quarterback. Dawsey, Callaway, Christmas, and Keller all back next year for Manatee.
How about that?
We might see them again, that much is for sure.
Their front four, which has been so good, 3 juniors and a sophomore. As Brady just told you, they're all coming back for Joe Kinnan next year, and DeAndre Johnson hasn't seen this kind of pressure in his freshman year before tonight.
You throw in a couple of juniors in Laurel and Sandberg on the offense, and I think Manatee will have a shot at the 7A again next year. I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb or anything there, Joy.
They're going to get another shot at Don Bosco Prep, too, next year. They're not sure where that game's going to be. They're still discussing the potential sites, but they have a chance to really get some payback against Don Bosco Prep, who beat them this year at their place. And that'll do it for the end of the 3rd quarter. We have 12 minutes of football remaining, and it has been all Bradenton Manatee. The Hurricanes leading 30-0. Back in Orlando after this. You heard in the pregame talk, Marty Lee said we're going to have to go through the eye of the hurricane. Unfortunately for the First Coast Buccaneers, it's been a Category 5 hurricane tonight because they have been absolutely dominated by the veteran coach Joe Canaan, as his team has looked unbelievable in every phase of tonight's game, and now it's 3rd and 39 as you'll see DeAndre Johnson roll out. That's what Brady was talking about. Give him some room. He throws it up for grabs, and it's dropped inside the 5-yard line. Willie Smith could have and probably should have had his second interception of the night.
Well, there's a half roll to the left side. It shows his arm strength. He probably threw that ball 60 yards in the air as a freshman. Rolling to his left. Watch right here. Now, this is some stuff I'd like to have seen earlier, because 4 right there, he helped seal him. Although they are face masking the poor kid. I'd face mask Blake Keller too, as good as he's played. Good job of pulling off on him, but that's a 60-yard throw rolling to your left.
So into punt again is Chris Cook. Fair catch called for and made by Ryan Taylor. Manatee will have the ball back with 11:43 to go after the 33-yard punt. So Bradenton Manatee with Joe Canaan looking for their first state title in 19 years.
That's hard to believe.
Yes.
That really is hard to believe. Now, when I was in high school, they were one of the dominant programs coming out of high school into college. And they've always been really good. But it does, when you said 19 years earlier, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then they were here a couple years ago and lost a plant. But that's just hard to believe.
Last year they were in the state semifinals, lost to St. Thomas Aquinas, who was, by all accounts, the best team in Florida last year, as Anthony Lauro will have a few defenders ride him down for a gain. He never goes down after the first hit. Now there's a flag on top of that, as Lauro was just fighting and fighting and fighting, and when he finally went down, a little frustration on First Coast with a late hit. May have been the big man, Jawan Fannin.
Maybe as the legend used to say, there you see the late hit, a little extracurricular activity, as Gordon Soley used to say.
Personal foul.
By Jawan Fannin.
Defense.
I want to talk about some balanced rushing for Manatee. Anthony Lauro with that last game, now 11 carries and 60 yards. Leon Allen, 12 carries, 65 yards. Cord Sandberg, 13 carries, 57 yards. They're all within a couple of carries of each other and a few yards of each other. All 3 of those guys doing the job they have all year long for the Hurricanes.
DeAndre Johnson, minus 60 yards. 7 carries, which have all been really sacks.
Right. They have piled up the sacks for the Hurricanes defense. Now we have an encroachment on Fannin, number 55. It'll be 1st and 5. But you're right, it's been a while for Manatee. And Joe Canaan had that run in 83 and 85 and then 89. They beat Southridge, Woodham, and then Carroll City.
Defense.
3 titles in the 80s, and he comes back and wins it in 92, finishes runner-up in 93. And then they went from 93 to 2009 without appearing in the Florida State Finals. Part of that time, Canaan was away from the team with some health issues, but he has them back in prominence now and in command in the Class 7A, which did not have Aquinas in the state semifinals this year. A very tough game with Dwyer that could have gone either way. The Panthers played them so tough last week down in Bradenton, and here they are dominating a previously undefeated First Coast team.
Yeah, this is a First Coast team that should be proud of what they've done, though. They've won 24 out of 26, these seniors. When you're trying to develop yourself as one of the top programs, that's what you got to do. But the thing in Jacksonville is there's so many good public schools that very rarely do you see one public school dominate very long. It doesn't happen. Raines has had their run, and White in Jacksonville has had their run. First Coast has always been talented, but now they're new schools because the population in Jacksonville with Fleming Island and Bartram Trail, Ponte Vedra, and some good schools. So the one problem with the Gateway Conference is the fact that there isn't one dominant team year in and year out trying to win a state championship, whereas, you know, most places you got 2 or 3 teams that are the upper echelon and then the rest. Even in Tampa, which is a bigger city than Jacksonville, you know the 3 or 4 elite teams and then everybody else. In Jacksonville, they're all about, you know, they all take their shot at it and then it goes backwards. It's so big.
Marty Lee said it wasn't that long ago that our rivals were calling us Last Coast because they felt like they could always beat up on them. Well, this year the tables were turned in a big way as First Coast had a remarkable season, regardless of the outcome tonight, as that last carry was the first carry of the night by Antonio Agers. And with more on the Buccaneers, let's go down to Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Todd, yesterday, First Coast had what they call a walkout to their bus to head down here. They actually modeled it after the Gator walkout that they have down at the University of Florida. And Coach Lee told me one of the coolest things was just to see how many people came out to support them. And not just First Coast students and staff, but other people from around the community. They had the band playing, they had banners for the Bucs, and he said that meant more to him than anything else he's seen. Guys?
Yeah, great support by that whole Jacksonville area as Agers will get another carry. And coaches from your old school, Fletcher here tonight. Raines has some coaches in attendance, Sandalwood, Atlantic Coast. The Jacksonville coaches are a tight-knit group. They know what it means to represent the Gateway Conference. They all wanted to see First Coast put up a better effort than what has turned out. Obviously 30-0 is not what they were anticipating, but it is a group there that is very proud of their brethren in that conference.
Yeah, they used to call it the Gateway Conference jinx, but Wilt McCoffey took care of that in '97 with the Raines team. And, you know, Jacksonville Bulls, I know it's a private school, but they've represented the city quite a few times, as has, obviously quite a few, as has Trinity Christian in Jacksonville.
Yep.
So, you know, Jacksonville has so many high schools that it's hard to say all the players go to this public school or that public school. It just depends. You know, Raines had a fine season this year. Fletcher, who you mentioned, had a fine season. One step from getting to the finals, and it's not easy to get here. It's not easy to get out of Jacksonville, and then it's not easy to go to, you know, get to a state championship. And look at Manatee. For all the success they had, it's going to be 19 years since they've won one.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you couldn't walk in, you know, other than Manatee fans, most high school football fans will say, you got to be kidding me. It's been almost 20 years since Joe Canan won a state championship. But, you know, once you get into the playoffs, there's especially these semifinals and finals. I mean, look at, you know, like you were mentioning who Manatee's had to go through. Hey, First Coast had to beat Lakeland.
Right.
All right, Lakeland, they've won 7,
the
right?
Dreadnoughts.
The Dreadnoughts and St. Thomas are right there behind Bowles. So, you know, the Dreadnoughts are no walk in the park over Bill Castle's team. I can tell you that right now.
How about the coaches that Marty Lee's had to face in 3 of the last 4 weeks? He had to face Castle in the state semis, in the regional finals, the legendary Jeff Webb at Fleming Island, and tonight, Joe Canan here with Bradenton Manatee.
Good coaches.
Woo. 4th down, they're going to go for it. Sandberg is going to throw, and he's got a receiver open, and it's Ryan Taylor. And Taylor's inside the 15 all the way down to the 12.
The key to this play is the offensive line not going down the line of scrimmage. Let's see if we can see it again. Okay, because he's acting like he's running the option, and it's and he's, you know, if the linemen get down the field, it's an illegal pass. But see how the linemen stay back? So that shows you what? Pass. He's looking to pass the ball, and what happens is you catch the secondary looking into the backfield. The offensive line is not getting down the field, so that means they're doing their job, and he's able to kind of trick them and get a play down the field. They've run that several times today, and I like it. I might add that to my playbook. Xbox.
Well, the Hurricanes have showed a little bit of everything tonight, and they whistle before the play gets underway. 8:59 to go in the game, and Manatee in command, 30-0.
We have a dead ball. We have a false start on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat the first down.
If I'm Cord Sandberg, and I'm not saying he's, you know, I don't know what his future may hold, but I might call Darren Mabry after the season. You know, text him, say, hey, you want to switch numbers? I might get, you know, I might even get some more publicity. Darren Mabry, of course, is 15.
I hear you. I like where you're going with it.
He looks like him sometimes out there.
Well, 24 is not a normal QB number.
No, it's
unique. It's kind of like a baseball player's number. He is the center fielder. Willie Mays kind of number. He's a center fielder on their baseball team.
They had a good baseball team.
They have a very good baseball team. Ryan Taylor, one of the few plays that blows up for Manatee as he loses a bundle there after the penalty. It'll be 2nd and long.
You look at Bradenton on their offense, 39 points a game in their 12 wins. Those 2 losses, and granted, those were two excellent football teams. They only had 16.5 points. I can't imagine holding this offense, and I know that was early in the season, sometimes not a clear indication, but holding that offense to 16 points, and that happened to them. You know, last week they only got 19 against Dwyer. So, you know, this is a good First Coast defense that really has been on their heels all night. They've lost the line of scrimmage, and Manatee, I think it all starts with the quarterback.
Yeah, of those 19 points, as Sandberg throws complete to Lauro, he's had quite a game. Of those 19 points, 7 of them were on a fumble return for a touchdown, 52-yard return by Willie Smith. So impressive defense by Dwyer. And the week before, Fort Pierce Central held them to only 1 touchdown and 2 field goals, and that was a defensive score. So it's hard to imagine this offense being stopped by what we've seen tonight. But somehow the Cobras out of Fort Pierce Central and the Panthers out of Dwyer did a nice job against this Hurricanes offense.
Well, you look at Manatee and First Coast, and one thing that did benefit both these programs, I really believe this, in getting here, is they played all 4 of their games at home. It's just the way, sometimes it's the luck of the draw, you know? I mean, sometimes it happens that way, and that's not their fault, but there are years, I'm sure, Joe Canan got knocked out in the semis because he had to go down to Miami or go down to St. Thomas or go over here, so it's not always easy.
False start on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
The only chance Manatee had an opportunity to play on the road would have been in the regional semifinals. Had Countryside defeated Venice, Countryside would have hosted Manatee, but Venice beat Countryside 28-27. And it ended up being a Manatee home run from there on out because they were at the top of the column against all those other division or conference winners.
No question about it. And Darian Mabry, who didn't realize while we were putting him on TV, is going to get home and rewatch this, says, "You're not getting my jersey." Don't worry.
Sandberg has all day to throw. Who does he want to go for? He's going to run it instead. He eludes 1 tackle. He's got some open field. Now he's thinking about throwing. Now he's going to run. And he's still on his feet. This is a long play. He ends up getting hit hard, but that was a long way to go. He ran all the way across the field a couple of times as he was finally taken down by Jacoby Jacobs.
Look at him. Mabry's like, I'm getting all this airtime. Look at that. Hold on, Darren. Let me see this. Give me that 15. Put that guy in 15. Look at him. I mean, he has got such great composure. Look how he keeps his eyes down the field. Watch his eyes. He's still looking down the field to throw. He's scrambling to throw. Nobody open. Then he tucks it and runs. And that is just, I mean, that is a good football player right there. I don't know what Laura said about his recruiting acumen. I know he's a junior, but that's the kind of guy right there that you can win a lot of football games at the next level with. I'm telling you, he understands the game. He gets it. You know, he's got good size. He's going to get bigger and stronger. He's an excellent football player.
It's going to be 4th down when play continues here with 6.5 to go. There is an injured Buccaneer on the field after that long run by Sandberg. They're going to attempt a field goal when we come back. More than likely, it's 4th and 10 from the 12-yard line. We'll come back with more in this 7A title game with First Coast trailing Manatee 30-0. Bradenton Manatee, 6 minutes and 28 seconds away from their 5th state title in school history. The injured player for First Coast has been taken off the field. Savon Lowry led the team in sacks this year. 2nd on the team in tackles for losses, but it is going to be a field goal attempt coming up here for Nick Tankersley. Gives me an opportunity to apologize to Nick for hoping that he missed that field goal at the end of the first half.
Remember, that was Todd Callis, and if you don't get a chance to see him, check him out at the Rays ballpark this year at the Trop.
It was just
maybe sling an egg at him there from the family of the Tankersleys. They just reneged on their Rays tickets now.
It was an unfair penalty that gave Manatee a field goal opportunity.
Hey,
that was called against First
Coast. We got a phone call Saturday night. These guys have been ticket holders for 11 years, and they canceled.
But Tankersley splits the uprights. Nice job by this senior right there, who wears the LC Greenwood yellow shoes and makes it 33-0 in favor of Bradenton Manatee. It has been all Hurricanes tonight as they are about to win a state championship for Joe Canan, 27 years at the program in Bradenton, and he has his team back towards state prominence and really national prominence, even though he's not ranked in a lot of national polls. Those 2 out-of-state losses hurt his national ranking, but people that played him in-state, Palmetto regular season, obviously Dwyer last week, Fort Pierce Central the week before, they know how talented this team was, and they showed it tonight in the title game.
Lines of scrimmage. I think that's the difference. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things different, but I think if you took the two teams and you swapped lines of scrimmage, I think we'd have seen a high-octane offense tonight from First Coast. I really think that's, you know, and the kids played hard, but they're just overmatched. That D-line for Manatee is pretty good.
They are very good, and as Brady mentioned, they are all coming back next year for Joe Kinnan. Well, Chris Black playing his final high school game. He'd like to get at least another reception somewhere because he hasn't been able to return any kicks, as Nick Tankersley has eliminated the return game with deep kickoffs all evening long. So, First Coast will wrap up their season with a 13-1 mark, playing in their first state title game, but they will have a quarterback coming back who has state championship experience and will only be a sophomore. They also have a JV program coached by Mark Tillman that has lost just 2 games in the last 3 years, and those 2 losses were to Camden County in Georgia, out of state. So they are a force up in Jacksonville that will be reckoned with in the future. Again, they only won 3 games in the playoffs in their entire school history before this season. It's a school that started in 1990, and this year Marty Lee took them to a whole new level, and they're hoping to make that a regular thing here at First Coast.
Yeah, you got to get through it one time to see what it's like. A lot of good coaches get to their first state championship game and it doesn't go right for them. But they do bring a team back if they can continue to build their program. You know, they won these last 3 playoff games by an average of 8 points. So they were in close games. They found ways to win to get here. Now you've got to build your program after that. They're going to have to replace these 3 senior receivers, all going to play college football. But it sounds like they've got plenty of talent in the pipeline at First Coast.
Here's a pass that is incomplete, intended for Osborne, and just like he has been all night long, he was pressured. Blake Keller.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you know, there we go, right there.
You think that's a trade that's going to happen?
It could be. He might have a reason he's wearing number 24, though. But he certainly played like him today, and get that running back in there.
Funny when guys get on the video screen here, all his teammates all of a sudden find them. Hey, what's going on, Cord? How you doing? Nice game, 33-0, 5.5 to go. Give DeAndre Johnson a chance to throw the ball. Come on, offensive line. He throws it deep down the field for Chris Black. Black tries to make a circus catch, but it's incomplete as he tried to go over the defender who had really good coverage. Brent Yancey back there, the senior for Bradenton Manatee. And thought that was Johnson, but it's actually Darrell King. It's been a long day for DeAndre Johnson, the freshman, playing in his first high school football season, and what a year it was, bringing his team all the way to Orlando.
Yeah, 2 turnovers that really probably changed the complexion of this game. Inside the red zone area, it's 14-all if you go down there and score, and they'd only turned it over 10 times the entire season. He only had 5 picks, 3 in one game, got 2 in the first half. And I really think that was it. I thought that set the tempo, you know, for getting them back in this football game and having the opportunity. But the lines of scrimmage has been the difference in this game. And it, you know, there's many different ways to run your offense. You can be a spread option, you can be an I option, you can be a pro style, you can be spread gun throw. But if you can't win the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter what you run. Wing T, I don't care. And tonight, Manatee's won this game in the trenches.
Cord Sandberg's night is over. He will go away with a state championship in his junior year. Broderick Yancey is the sophomore backup quarterback. And he will take over here at midfield with his team leading 33-0. And a flag goes down with a dead ball situation. They're counting up the players, and I believe First Coast had a dozen out there on the field, which will be an easy penalty. But Joe Kinnan, defensive line coach Steve Goulash.
Dead foul, illegal substitution on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Defensive line coach Steve Goulash, who was a defensive lineman on the '92 state championship team. He's going to have all his front 4 back, and what a difference they made in this game, not allowing DeAndre Johnson ever to get comfortable throwing the football tonight. Let's see what Broderick Yancey can do here. Out of the shotgun, he's going to hand the ball off and trying to slip a few tackles, but not going anywhere is Antonio Agars. He's a senior playing his final game with the Hurricanes. He had 4 touchdowns on the season for Bradenton Manatee. Under 5 minutes to go. Quite a night for Cord Sandberg. Scored the first touchdown on the ground. Threw for a touchdown pass as well, and just engineered a solid offensive game plan for Bradenton Manatee tonight.
Yep, did a great job managing the offense, making some plays when the coverage broke down in the passing game, running the ball and keeping everybody involved. They stayed on point all night, Manatee. From the opening drive on, they really looked like they could get what they wanted. And that's a good First Coast defense. The other thing is you look back at First Coast offense, and I know Marty Lee's going to do this. He's going to go back and he's going to evaluate this game because he has a philosophy. He wants to throw the football more than he runs it. He's going to look at 2 things. Number one, coaches always do this. What can I do differently when I face a team that good? So when you're in that situation with a D-line like that, should I screen more early? Should I do this more early? And also, I bet you Marty Lee's going to go out and get him a big back. Yeah, you're not recruit a big back, but maybe he has a linebacker that's on his JV team that has got running back potential, because I do think that would help slow down the pass rush a little bit, because this is a good offensive system. I watched him on video. I think it's a fun system for kids to play in. I think he likes coaching it. I think his team likes playing it, so you're always going to have skilled guys. And I think in this day and age, when kids have so many other ways to go after school, I don't want to go to practice, I want to do this, you want to make it fun. He makes it fun. You know, in the offseason, he doesn't have to tell his guys to go throw the football because they want to. That's what do kids want to do with a football. We're on the beach throwing it. Even though you're an offensive lineman, Todd, I'm still going to throw it to you on the beach. Well, that's what his kids do. They throw it year-round, and so it's extra practice for what you normally like to do.
Pitch back for Manatee to Taron Cotton. Cotton with his first carry of the night and loses yards on that pitch play. Yeah, it was quite a year. I mean, this First Coast did some things this year that had never been done before in the history of their school. Marty Lee wins 7A Coach of the Year. Congratulations to him for that. He comes out of Jacksonville trying to win the first public school title for Duval County since Raines did it back in '97. It's not going to happen tonight, but still, it was a dream year in a lot of ways for Marty Lee's Buccaneers.
No question. No question. And you know, we always see one team leave here extremely disappointed. But when, especially these teams that have come the first time, look what it did. You know, it wasn't the first time, but look what it did to Norland from Miami. Boy, were they a focused team. And they looked really good today in their championship win after losing last year to Tampa Jefferson.
Agars is bouncing off tackles and goes all the way down to the 20-yard line on the pass from Broderick Yancey. That'll be a first down on the 25-yard pickup as we have 3:22 to go in the game, and Joe Canan is going to win his 5th state championship crown, and the sidelines that are filled with red shirts are ready to celebrate a state title for the first time since '92 when Willie Taggart was the quarterback.
How about that?
And Taggart now at Western Kentucky has a nice little pipeline to recruit down into Bradenton.
Got a big contract this year, extension after a big year.
Quite a year for Willie.
Yeah, good for him.
With the Hilltoppers. As we have a 1st and 10 for Bradenton Manatee. As this time Yancey will keep it after he fakes it to Agars. And Broderick Yancey showing a nice move inside the 5. He gets down to the 3. Nice run by the sophomore backup quarterback. Well, from the start, Joe Canan's team was in control, and this was a thorough victory for the Hurricanes, who are going to end the year 13-0 against Florida schools. Their only 2 losses out of state. And they got better as the season went along. Early on in the season, when they lost those 2 games out of state, their offensive line was still trying to figure out who the key players were in the right spots, as Yancey keeps and is taken down inside the 1-yard line. Do they get Canan with the Gatorade? Oh, yeah. Oh, water.
Oh! Come on! Bust a smile.
He does not look happy.
All right, you guys, I got to change. Look, now I got to change. Come on, coach.
He waited 19 years.
That's got to be a good bath right there. That's a good cold bath. It's not that cold out tonight.
It's kind of a nice night. Yancey trying to find a hole in the middle of the line. Daniel McMillan still playing hard, trying to keep him out of the end zone, and he does. It'll be 3rd down with 1:45 and running to go. The Buccaneers have Daniel McMillan coming back. He's a junior. You mentioned they need to find some receivers. They have some receivers in the backup position, like Chris Johnson, who's solid, Antonio Perryman, Kennard Bright. They'll probably take over for the Osbornes and the Blacks and the Brooks. And they still have that guy who can sling it, DeAndre Johnson. He'll just be a sophomore with a lot of experience.
I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Black at the next level, following his career.
3rd and goal from the 1. They pitch it back to Cotton, and Terren Cotton ducks his head into the end zone for a touchdown. 5'4" junior, and he makes it a 39-0 lead. Joe Canaan still looks a little aggravated by that water bath. Cotton gets a nice congratulatory handshake and head slap from a lot of his teammates, as Tankersley will look to add point number 40. This will make it a running clock, if that matters, for the final 68 seconds, as the lead is more than 35. And it's 40-0 Manatee.
Number 8.
Terren Cotton says, "Let me eat," as he scores that touchdown. Now there's Terren Cotton as he scores the touchdown. And Joe Canaan is still toweling off. Well, he's going to finish up with quite a year this year, and one of the reasons our Southeast Toyota Player of the Game is a combo deal.
Going with the defensive line tonight, Todd. The defensive line was responsible for the pressure of that young quarterback, DeAndre Johnson. Listed as 5 sacks, but I got him with more than 5. Plenty of tackles for loss. Minus 71 yards rushing. 5 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries, and minus 71 yards rushing for First Coast. That's a D-line right there. Give them credit. Dawsey, Callaway, Christmas, and number 55, Blake Keller.
I am looking forward, as you are, to next year when Manatee will tee it up against Don Bosco Prep at the beginning of the year, with all those guys coming back, and they want to avenge a loss that they suffered at the beginning of the season.
No question. They just want to eat, see if they're eating. They feed those D-linemen. Feed them.
Well, Tankersley has just been money and kicking it off into the end zone. They try and knock it out of the end zone. Good idea by Chris Black to kind of volleyball set it back to his teammate, but no dice. That's William Myrick.
Yeah, they're probably not used to seeing too many kickers like this. Tankersley's got a heck of a leg, and Johnson's night is done. A learning experience for the young freshman. An opportunity to become more of a leader as a sophomore. You know, this team pretty much led by Chris Black and those senior linebackers, and obviously with McMillan coming back, he'll lead the defense. But Johnson's got to take the next step. He's got the physical ability. Now he's got to get control of his team, these young receivers that are going to step up, work with those guys in the offseason, and get right back to work on Monday.
Well, when First Coast was looking for a quarterback this year and they did not know about the freshman coming in, they were thinking about running the Wildcat with Chris Johnson. Johnson's in the game, but he's not even going to quarterback. It's going to be Darrell King, and he essentially is going to run the Wildcat, but they're going to let him throw, and he throws complete. That was a nice little pass by the running back as he throws complete to Chris Black. That may be Black's final catch of his high school career. Good for 16 yards. He's still wearing his gloves, the running back, throwing that football with his gloves on.
Well, you know, they're designing gloves. A lot of NFL players are throwing with the gloves now. You know, you got Ben Roethlisberger and a few guys that do that.
Herman Taylor was the quarterback last year. Now they're going to let everybody have a shot at the quarterback spot as they switch it again. This time it was Chris Johnson, and he throws incomplete. Well, Darrell King looked good on that first pass, and then they throw him out there as a receiver on the next play. Yep. Who else is going to get the quarterback? Now they're going to keep Chris Johnson in there. Clock is running. Even though there's an incompletion, running clock when you're down by 35 or more in the final quarter, and this could be the final play and will be the final play of the game as the pass is incomplete, but with the running clock, unless First Coast calls a timeout, that should do it. And Joe Canaan and the Manatee Hurricanes will win their 5th state title. Congratulations on a dominant performance in the 7A title game.
Well, I'm telling you, folks, he's happy. May not look like it, but he's happy, and Manatee comes to a very, very tough bracket. Same side as St. Thomas, Palm Beach Gardens, Dwyer, Fort Pierce Central. That's a pretty tough bracket. That's what they got to look at every year. They earned the 7A title this year.
Bradenton Manatee now adds to their championship trophy case 1983, 1985, 1989, 1992, and now 2011, all with Joe Canaan at the helm. 5 state titles in 7 appearances in the state championship game. And from the start, it was a Hurricanes team that was focused and played extremely well in every phase, including special teams, which resulted in a touchdown. Offensively, Cord Sandberg ran a beautiful game plan, and defensively, they just did not let that kid, the freshman DeAndre Johnson, have any time to use his receiver weapons in this game.
No, and you know, again, learning experience for First Coast. We'll see if they can build off this season. They got a great senior class that's leaving them with 24 wins in 27 games. They've done things there that haven't been done before. We'll see if that can continue with Johnson in the future. But for Manatee, it probably feels like it's been too long for them to get back to the state championship, one of the state's best programs consistently for the last couple of decades. And, you know, they look like a team that could be back next year with all the young players they have.
No doubt. Sandberg will be back for his senior year. We'll have more from the Bradenton Manatee Hurricanes. We will hear from Joe Canaan and also one of their star players in this one. The Hurricanes win the 2011 7A title. The Bradenton Manatee Hurricanes started out strong and they kept it rolling. 40-0 over the First Coast Buccaneers, the first state title game ever for First Coast. And right now they are distraught, but it's all about some lessons that were learned on the field tonight from Marty Lee's crew. On the other sideline, it was a victory for Manatee and their legendary coach, Joe Canaan. Actually, before we go to Joe Canaan, let's go to Jessica Blaylock with Cord Sandberg.
All right, thank you so much. Well, Cord, it's the first title for Manatee since 1992. How does it feel to be a part of the team that's taken back the championship?
It feels great. I'm so happy for this team, players, coaches, fans, everybody. I'm so happy we got the win tonight. You have no idea.
Heck of a game for you. Not only did you throw for a couple touchdowns, you also ran one in. You're already getting compared as a junior to guys like Tim Tebow. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Tim Tebow, he's a great player, and accomplish anything that he's accomplished, it would be amazing. I just go out every day, the best player I can be to help the team win. It was a team effort tonight. Offense, defense, offensive line, defensive line. Everybody making plays and making it happen. I thank God. It was amazing.
And I finally have to ask you, were you involved in that Gatorade bath on Coach Canaan? Because he did not look too happy about that.
Yeah, I was kind of the mind behind it, telling him where to go and everything, but I physically didn't get involved in that. No, ma'am.
All right, well, congratulations. Go celebrate with your team. You deserve it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, back up to you.
How smart is he, Brady? He was the brains behind it, but he did not actually participate.
That's a smart quarterback. He knows when he knows he's an underclassman too, so he's going to have to come back and pay for it if he was the one doing it.
So he talked the seniors into dousing the head coach Joe Canaan, who is pleased despite being a little drenched, and he's standing by with our own Laura McKeeman.
Thank you, Todd. Coach, you waited 19 years. Thank you, Todd. Coach, you waited 19 years for this, and you had your way this entire game from start to finish. How does it feel?
Well, it was a total team victory. The defense was relentless. They got them off, they kept pushing them back. They had to get rid of the ball, and then the offense, the line blocked well. Cord and Leon ran hard. The receivers blocked the perimeter, caught the ball, did the things we needed to do. And, we just kept, doing what we do. We did what we did. We do what Manatee does.
You mentioned the importance of the D-line and pressuring their freshman quarterback coming into this game. I mean, he didn't have anything the entire game. How proud of you are your D-line?
Yeah, we knew that they would. Our front four is really good, and we knew they would have problems with them, and we got pressure on them. It's hard. I don't care whether you're a freshman or a senior. I mean, you can see he's got a great arm. He had some great receivers to throw to, Coach Lee, did a great job. I mean, they're a lot better football team than the score indicated. We're not 40 points better. We were tonight, but we're glad that one's in the bank.
All right, thank you, Coach, and congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
That's Coach Joe Kinnan, quite a legend, Todd.
5 state titles now and 7 tries for Joe Kinnan in his 27th year with Bradenton Manatee. And Brady Ackerman, this is a program that was really dominant through the 80s and early 90s, and maybe we're starting to see the resurgence. They've been in the state championship 2 out of the last 3 years, and a big victory tonight.
Big victory, a chance to win a title 2 years after you lose one to Tampa Plant and come through the region that they've come through and the teams they've had to beat. Really a line of scrimmage game, in my opinion. Both the offensive line and our player of the game, the defensive line, won their battles and won them convincingly, and it really was tough for First Coast tonight.
As Joe Kinnan said, it was not a First Coast 40-point difference between the two teams, although it was tonight. It was one of those performances that he will remember forever. That was a full-on outing by his team, offense, defense, and special team. That'll do it on the first night of the weekend of the big schools. The 5A and 7A games are in the books, and Bradenton Manatee wins this one by the final score of 40-0. It's been a special presentation of Sun Sports. Live coverage tomorrow, great matchup. The Armwood Hawks and the Miami Central Rockets on Fox Sports Florida. You can go to facebook.com/Fox Sports Florida, Sun Sports for more information. For Brady, Jessica, and Laura, I'm Todd Callis. Have a great night, everyone.